Check this out.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Chino.
Brothers.
Chino.
You're like a DJ, but you're playing videos.
This is DJ Ace in the house, and you watching the Chino brothers. Hey, don't miss they shows.
So what's your podcast about?
Hip-hop music.
Hey, what's up? This is DJ Redeem, and you're tuned in to the Chinks Brothers Show.
You got these Chinese.
Those Chinese, they work hard.
You girls took your brother to hip-hop party?
Yo, what up? This your boy Mellow Man Ace at Padrino, and you're checking out the Chino Brothers right here. Keep it locked.
Don't miss the boat.
Oh yeah, Tong Vu, what's up? Where'd
Sorry,
you go?
bro, I didn't put him in this one.
I was like, yeah.
What's up, everybody? You're watching the #1 half Asian podcast in all of Bakersfield, California, and all of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We want to welcome you all. We've got a wonderful show tonight. Adley, what do you got to say about it?
I'm excited to be here. It's always a fun time. I look forward to this day, this evening, Thursday evenings at 6, because I know we get to talk about the stuff we want to talk about. And we always have really cool guests. Tonight's no exception. And we just dig into it, man. Whether it's hip hop, whether it's DJing, whether it's radio stuff, whether it's club stuff, it's just the scene. Basically bring it to you and talking about all that stuff.
So here's the deal, folks. Tonight we have Rich Donovan on the show. And Rich Donovan was actually in radio before and during when we were in radio, what we would say across the street from us. Adley, you want to explain across the street what that means?
Across the street means rivals. It it's the other team, you know what I'm saying? And and I felt like there was a pretty solid rivalry at one point. It probably didn't start that way. But then again, even we're going to dig into a story more, but Donovan even worked at another station where our coworkers worked at as well before everybody kind of split up too. So there's a story there as well. And I've seen some footage floating around, and Donovan was there. We're going to talk to him more about it and stuff too. So I don't want to give up too much, but yeah, there's a YouTube video floating around of a concert. And I don't know if Donovan's seen it or not, but we'll find out. But a lot of rich radio DJing history to be had tonight.
Tiny Box Vape Shop.
Word.
All right, Gavin, go ahead and close the shop then. Please. Please. I'll say this, dude. The one thing I think is going to be interesting about talking to Rich is we have a lot of DJs on here, but we don't have a lot of radio guys on here. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's true. The majority has been DJs, I'd say.
And then we also have, I mean, they're radio DJs in the sense that their mixes get played on the radio. And then we also haven't had an old school guy that like we worked with in the past forever on here.
Yes. It's been a long time. And I feel like you worked with him more than I did, because I was like nights and overnights. So I didn't see him as often.
Well, I remember when I met Rich, but let's bring Rich on. So,
All
folks,
right.
we've got Rich Donovan. Sorry, me and Adley are going to have a conversation about it, and we should probably just bring him on and talk about it. Yeah, so we've got Rich Donovan. If you haven't figured it out yet, he's from our old past. He's an old DJ that we used to work with back when we were in Tucson.
Doesn't look a day over 25, though.
Doesn't look a day over 21. What do you mean?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Rich Donovan.
Yeah, sure.
What up, Rich?
Day over 25, really, man? 21?
You know, I was thinking about this, to be totally honest with you guys today. I was thinking about Rich Donovan, and I'm like, you kind of missed your calling, because you could have been like a bad guy in a Chuck Norris film.
Yeah. All right, that's actually kind of funny, but I somebody screenshot one of my videos on TikTok and sent it to me and said I look like Mike Tyson. I thought that was hilarious. No one's ever called me that before.
Well, and because like you do a lot of black and white TikToks, and then you always have kind of a shadow, and then you guys didn't look the same when you were young, but you're morphing into the same older look. You know what I mean?
You mean same old dude?
Well, are you still exercising a lot, Rich?
The job that I do to kill time is very physical, so it's not like I'm sitting on my flat Mexican ass. So you know,
when we were younger, Rich used to like to lift weights and get strong and all that stuff. So Rich, let's start it out. how did you get into radio?
Well, like you, I started as a DJ in clubs. That's what I did. I used to have a company called Magic Entertainment, and one of my idols was Cameron Paul. I don't know if you know who Cameron Paul is.
Yeah,
he's the guy that invented the hot mix. He's the one that used to do all the hot mixing. He was here at KMEL in San Francisco, and he died, I think, 2 or 3 years ago.
It was fairly recently, when he passed.
Correct.
That's right.
He was in charge. He was the one that invented the Mix It records. Remember those?
Yes, definitely.
Love those.
They had the breakdowns. They had the breakdowns in the middle, and had all the beat BPMs
scratch
on
effects at the end. Yeah,
he was the guy that invented that. So I wanted to be like Cameron Paul because he was featured on the radio a lot, and he did the American Soviets remix, the CCTP remix, and that was huge on the radio. He did that. So he was one of the inspirations of me being a disc jockey in the clubs, but I started listening to radio when I was just a kid, maybe 8 or 9, and I started listening to KFI 640, and they were in San Francisco, the Great Entertainer, and I used to record the jingles and put them on tape, and then I would pretend to be a disc jockey and mix songs together.
Oh yeah, nice.
So
what?
Oh, so you're from the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, is that where you grew up around where you're living now in the Bay Area?
No, I grew up in Arizona.
Okay.
So near the border, Sierra Vista, Arizona, not too far from Tucson, where we all ended up living.
Nice.
How'd you get the San Francisco treat then?
Well, I ended up after I left my station that I was working at.
No. Not now. You said that you used to record the jingles in the Bay Area.
Because AM radio stations at that time were broadcasting. They would go their power. They would jack up their power at nighttime.
Oh, yeah.
And I was able to listen to them at night and record them on little cassettes. And I would record certain songs and make sure that I'd have those jingles. I was a weird kid. So
that was exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, you're in Sierra Vista, Arizona, half Mexican, half white, and this is what you're doing for your kicks. And I know there ain't a lot of. I know Sierra Vista ain't a forgiving kind of town. That's the kind of town you got to be a little bit tougher for. You know what I mean? That's not one of those
border town. Yeah,
it's not one of those
military town, more of a military town.
That's right. That's right
there. So,
but it's not a Cabbage
my dad
Patch
retired
town.
My dad retired there. So
okay, yeah. So it's not a hey man, you like to record jingles kind of town. It ain't that kind of town.
I don't know what possessed me to do that.
What's up, Gavin?
What's going on, Gavin? I don't know what possessed me to start doing that. I don't know where the bug came from. No one ever told me about radio. I just started listening to it. And then
what was the format of the station?
It was called The Great Entertainer. It was like today's version of Hot AC / contemporary hits.
Okay. What were some of the jams they were playing, Rich, that you were recording?
Well, you have to look at the time frame. This was the 70s.
I'm not mad at you.
Okay.
No, I'm just you have to think of the songs that were played on the radio in the 70s. You know,
we're all old.
And you have Pat Benatar, all these actors. The Bee Gees? All of these songs were huge on that type of radio. Then you had music from the Music Box. Instrumental stuff. Dave Grusin. This was all mixed in to this one radio station. That's what was called The Great Entertainer. They don't have formats like this anymore.
No, you're right.
No way. Yeah.
So that's where plus I was a musician too. So my taste in music had a lot to do with instrumentals. So I loved instrumental music. So
what kind of instrument did you play?
I was the trumpet player for most of my teenage and college years. I was a solo trumpet player, and I was in the Wildcat marching band. I was one of the soloists there.
Whoa!
At U of A.
So you got to go to all the games?
Whoa.
I was at the games. I was also in a drum and bugle corps, the Sunset Regiment, for 2 years. So it was weird
Rich
stuff.
Donovan peeling the onion here. I had no idea. This is crazy. All right, so you're growing up in Sierra Vista, Arizona. You're in. When do you end up like? Oh. So I'm assuming you go to university, and that's when you moved to Tucson. Is that what I'm assuming? Correct? Or
It's my brother was in Tucson at the time. He was going to the University of Arizona for his he was getting his midshipment or his commission for the Navy. So he was a Navy ROTC. He ended up moving up there and he needed a roommate. So when my mom kicked me out of the house, get out of the house, you're 18.
She kicked
Kicked me
you
out of the house.
18
Literally
now, man.
kicked me out of the house.
We all got
I was
kicked out of the house except
I
for
was a
Adelaide.
I was a police explorer too. Here's the thing: I was a police explorer for the Service Police Department, and I remember my mom was so mad at me. I don't know what she was mad. My mom was always mad. She was a Mexican mother. She was mad at everything. I remember Officer Bill Burns from the Service to Police Department coming to the house because apparently she called the police on me because she wanted me to leave the house. He was the police explorer advisor at the time, and I used to go riding with him all the time. He drove up to the house. I saw the car outside. I went, "What is going on?" And Bill gets out of his car and he walks up and he comes over here. And he goes, you don't need me to tell you this, but your mom can have you arrested now. So I think you should probably find a place to live.
Why was she so there's no reason? Like you didn't do anything?
My
Were you
mom just wanted me
partying,
out. No, she didn't like the
turned
fact
18
that,
and it was
that I didn't like to listen to
1989 or
her.
whatever.
I never listened to her advice. My mom was not the best at giving advice. And plus I was just a teenager. I was a kid who wanted to do his own thinking. And she didn't like that. You know, kids.
Okay.
At that age,
She didn't want him coming home at 2:00 in the morning.
I never did that anyway, but
she wanted him messing around.
She thought it was the best for me to get the hell out of the house. That's when my brother said, "You can move up with me." And that's what happened.
You were 18 years old. It's not like you were 12. Like Adley acted like you were a baby. He's like, "Oh my goodness!" It's like
but
he
you
was
know
an
what?
adult.
If I hadn't have done that though, I wouldn't have been at the U of A in the music department. That was probably the best 2 years. Being in the U of A marching band, and in the music department area. That was some fun times. I mean,
what years were you there?
88 and 89.
Oh, you just missed us.
So yes,
we were there in the mid 90s. Yeah,
it was. Yeah. I loved being part of Pride. It was. I even made there. It was
different meaning today.
Pride of Arizona. Yeah, but believe me, it was an honor wearing the vests. The band that wore that with the logo on it. I was so proud of that.
I didn't know you went to University of Arizona.
I never knew that.
Yeah, there's pictures of me in my uniform on Facebook. They took a picture of the horn line. It was we were doing the homecoming parade, and you know how they used to do the parade down the mall.
Yeah,
and
then have that big fire. Remember after that, they throw all that wood and make that big old giant fire.
Bonfire?
Yeah, that was nuts.
And they took a picture of the trumpet line I don't even remember them taking it, but I'm in the middle of this picture. It was on the front page. Of course, we all look alike. We have the hat on and my horns up. And there I am in the middle of this picture on the front page. I wish I could find it because that was such an awesome picture. I only saw it once or twice.
Cool.
That's cool.
That is
so,
awesome.
But this is before cell phone pictures or everything. Where my dad took a few pictures of us, but there was no video. I'm so upset because there's no video of us doing the game stuff.
How did
I was
you
gonna say
into,
kids today don't understand how big a deal it is to be in the newspaper, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge
that was a big deal.
There's another side of that though, is that we don't know what it's like to have had every bad mistake on video. You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine? I can't even begin to imagine. But Rich, this is what I was going to ask you: is how did you get into radio?
Hang on. There's my dumb cat in the back there.
What's up, cat?
That's Cotton. Anyway, well, my dad knew I wanted to be in the radio business, and this is when they had just opened up this job service office in Sierra Vista at DES, and so I went to DES to the job service portion, and I'm flipping through all the opportunities for work. And for some reason, I'm thinking I want to be in broadcasting. And I just happened to go to the B section. And I wasn't thinking I was going to find anything. But pops up radio board op for K101 in Sierra Vista. And
this is when you were in high school?
Yes.
This is the same story as Greg Mack, Adley. Remember? He found that's how he did it. Yeah.
And it was just coincidence because the lady said that they had just put it up. And so I filled out the application for it. and can you barely see me?
Yeah, I was
Got
about to
dark,
ask what
yeah.
happened to your
It's dark.
light, Rich.
No, it was a
You
TV.
got a rolling brownout.
Is that
Yeah,
better?
dude.
Thank
Thank your governor Kim Jong Newsom.
Yeah.
Huh?
Anyways, I filled out the app. I get a call about 2 weeks later. I forgot all about it. From a guy named Carlos Ibarra, who was probably one of the worst bosses ever. Not the
Wow.
best motivational speaker.
Was he a
Wow.
PD?
Oh, he was terrible.
Yeah.
The worst small market guy. He was talented though. He was great on the air. Just bad people person.
That's the
And he
worst
was-
part
and he was
about those
huge.
radio guys.
Mhm.
They're complete D heads in every fashion, but super talented in programming or whatever. You know, you're just like, well, you just gotta accept it. They're that good. You know
I
what
wouldn't I wouldn't say that he was super talented programming. He wasn't bad on the radio. He was very good because everything was live back then. So he was very
Mhm.
fast with his stuff. But he was an asshole. Excuse my French. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I ended up getting the job as a board op, running the Shadow Stevens top 40
Oh,
countdown
Yeah,
Federated,
Jazz-
right?
and jazz tracks on Sunday by Art Good. So I ran those shows. One was on Pancake Reel, big 12-inch reels, and the other one was 4 records. So we had the turntables in the studios. And I wanted to do more than that. I wanted to, he's like, hey, you know, you guys have remotes. I wouldn't mind running the board for a remote. And no one trained me. No one showed me how to run anything. Not even put the records on the things and put the pots on. I had to teach myself. That
sounds like Hot
shows you
98.3.
that shows you they didn't care. I thought that they were going to literally train me on how to do things, and that didn't happen. So I taught myself all this stuff. Then my boss Carlos calls me into the studio, into his office, and he knows that I wanted to be a disc jockey. I want to be on the radio. I wanted to do my own show, and he tells me to my face, "This is, I don't know why somebody would say this to a kid that wants to be something. You are never going to be on the air. You're too
Oh,
starry-eyed. You're too starry-eyed, and you'll never have your own show. So get that out of your head." He told me that.
I thought you were going the other way with that. I thought he was going to say,
Sad.
No,
look, I've got 2 hours on the overnights. Don't mess it up now, kid.
no,
You know
we
what I
were
mean? 'Cause, like,
automated at overnights.
what
We had a-
year
Huh,
is this?
even back then, huh?
We had a machine called Fred. It was this giant radio robot. I can't tell you what the acronym means because it's cuss words.
Oh,
And it was 5 reel-to-reels controlled by a central hub with cart machines for commercials, these carousels, and everything was done through coding and this little teeny keyboard. This was state of the art back then.
I
And
bet. Yeah.
it literally mixed all the songs. It mixed the commercials, and it had sweepers and stabs in and out. So
man, you guys couldn't see back then. Why don't you warn the rest of us? If you knew that was coming, why'd you do that?
but somebody had to be there to make sure that the had to change the reels. So
Yeah, is that what you want for a job, or do you want to have fun talking on the radio?
the thing is, Fred slowly became one of these relics, and he stopped working really well. So they said, okay, so we're gonna have to use these guys on the weekends because they have remotes for live broadcasts. So finally, I ended up having a chance to run the board just for the remotes, and I cracked the mic. And I wasn't supposed to, but I cracked the mic and did a ramp over a song, and I got in trouble for it. But I
dude,
didn't
it felt
care.
like you did pure crack cocaine when you cracked that mic, dude.
Didn't
There ain't
care.
a drug like that in the world.
I knew I was
bro.
going to get in trouble too the minute I opened the microphone. But I didn't care. I ramped the song. I don't know if
Hit
it
the
was
post?
awful or good. Of course, I hit the post. I used
Okay,
to practice
okay.
that stuff as a kid. I
Look
used
at
to
that,
practice
bro.
my ramping as a kid.
Nice.
So
Very
I mean,
nice.
that was a big deal for me, you know, to make sure that I didn't, I kicked those vocals right in the teeth. So he couldn't say that I walked all over the song, because as a disc jockey, for me, mastering the post was something very important to me, and the last thing I wanted to do was ruin a song. But you could tell I was super excited and very high pitched and talking super fast.
Oh yeah,
It
of
was
course. It's the first time you crack a mic, dude. It feels, but that first time you crack a mic, man, that feel there is not a feeling on the planet anything like that. It's like the
Yeah.
first time you smell a radio station. First time you walk into a radio station and get a smell of it, it's intoxicating, man. I love radio. But anyways,
it was a scary monster. And about a year later, I ended up getting a show that was sponsored by our local record store called Hot Licks. And I did that for about a year.
wait, were you still working for this jerk program director?
Yeah, I was. And he actually, when I brought it up to him why he had said that to me, he denied it. He denied ever saying it to me.
Huh.
And I always wanted to say, you said that. I'm sitting in your office and you said it to my face.
Hey, but he gave you a show for Hot Tracks. You know, come on.
Yeah.
Well,
that's because I was friends with the record store owner. Her name was Vera. And I used to go in because I was a disc jockey and I used to buy a lot of records.
Yeah, of
and
course.
she says, you should do your own show. I would sponsor it if you would do your own show. So the sales manager there at the time was Denny Christensen. And I went in and said, hey, Vera's interested in doing some advertising here, but she wants me to do a show. And he started laughing like that's never going to happen. And he went in and she bought like this annual. And
That's
it was
a big
enough.
deal. Yep.
Exactly. That was enough. The annual was for my show only. So and they would pay me. They paid me cash for the show. So I got money, not from the radio station. I got money from Reflections.
Oh, a talent fee.
Yes. And I didn't get paid while I was on the air from the radio station, which was dumb. Would you think about it? Because I'm working for them.
It sounds like radio, bro. It doesn't sound dumb to me. Radio's the type of job where like you better not eat somebody else's peanut butter, especially if that's the station manager. You eat the station manager's peanut butter, you think you murder somebody, bro.
No, I hear that. But if it wasn't for Vera, I would have never gotten that show. And the fact that they even gave me, and the fact that Denny gave me that opportunity to do the show was fun. I learned a lot, but I was horrible listening to it again because I have one show left on a pancake reel, and it's just horrible. But I did all the imaging for it. I would produce all my stabs and stuff for the show because no one would do that for me. So it's all self-contained. I did a countdown, my own countdown. I would make up the numbers as I was going along. No one would tell me how to do it. I just did it myself.
So wait, I got a question. What was it like a weekly top 40?
It was a hip like dance music show. Yeah. Dance show.
But it was like,
and I would pick all the music.
Top 10 hits or something? Or?
Yeah, she would supply the music.
Okay.
She would supply all the music from the store that I would play. Then we get to keep the music, and that's what I would feature on the show.
That's cool.
They were all promo singles and 45s.
Nice.
So it was really cool. We didn't have a CD player in the studio at the time. Vera found out about it, so she gave us one of the CD players that they had in the back they weren't using. So we put that CD player into the studio.
Once again, that sounds right about like radio. People wonder why record reps are so shady. It's like, well, if you would just put regular equipment and faster internet in here, maybe we wouldn't have to rely on the record reps.
Come on, I had QRKs in the studio, those giant monster steel turntables, with the giant pole down the middle. The QRKs that have the switch.
Yeah.
And when they would turn on, they would vibrate the whole counter.
Yep.
That's what that was.
That's awesome. And the record store now is in Sierra Vista.
Oh, it's gone now. It's gone
now.
No more
but it was like the place to go. Was it like cool?
Everybody,
you see the 80s movies.
Yeah. Oh,
it
yeah.
was like a hangout.
And you walk into it and it smells like a record store. It smells like something from the 80s. Incense, music playing. It was always cool inside. It was right next to Baskin Robbins. So you could smell the cones and you know what I'm talking about?
And then you could go get yourself an ice cream cone after you buy yourself a new record. That'd be real nice.
That time. Huh? I would go right to the 12-inch remix section, always filing through them. They had a huge bin for 45s. So
was she on top of the new music too then? I mean, she was on top of it too. Because you're doing clubs, DJing at clubs too, right?
And I was playing 12-inch remixes on the air, which was at this time not a typical thing, especially in Sierra Vista radio. So
I was playing small market.
I was playing 12-inch remixes at the time. So
what was your average crowd at the club? Because it's a military town too, right?
Well, it was pretty packed. The club at the time. My first remote was at this club called Accolades, and it was always packed. and this story has a circle to it. The guy that hired me for the very first remote, my very first remote I was terrified, by the way, because we had to carry this giant transmitter everywhere we went, this huge metal box with a CB antenna that if you touched
You
it,
guys
it
didn't
would
have a
burn you.
Marty? You didn't
Oh, it
have
was
a
a-
Marty?
Oh, it was a Marty. It was a Marty. But this was
weirder
this
than
is
a
one from the
regular
turn of the
Marty?
century Marty.
Oh my god!
If you turned it on, it would stop your pacemaker. So we would have to. It was old school radio. Come on.
I hate how cheap radio is, man. Like it could have been so much fun if they would just put a couple more dollars behind it. But go ahead.
No. This was a mom and pop station before when I was working at it as a kid. So they weren't a corporation.
I got you.
So that's why everything was bubble gum and sticks and tape. I mean, one of the control rooms had a homemade peak meter made with a wooden box and these Radio Shack meters that somebody had jury rigged inside the box and put on
Sounds
top
like
of
Hot
that.
98.3.
That's
What's
exactly
going on?
what it was. I'm not making it up. That's a true story.
But come on, here's the thing. In my mind, here's how I look at it from a business perspective. There was no internet back then. If
Of
people
course.
want to hear some new music, they had to listen to your radio station. So you could sell as much of those commercials as you could find a good salesman to sell. All right. Where's the money, folks? Because I never saw it on radio. What's going on around here?
You have to admit, small market radio and the management, they were spending that stuff. So, and it was all going into their pockets and stuff. They barely paid me when I was a kid. I was
Always
making
in
like
radio.
I think in my first full-time radio job, I thought I was making a lot of money. I thought I was yes, was $650 a month. That was my first full-time radio job. How much I was getting paid a month. I thought that I had won the lottery when I got called in for this interview.
Oh my gosh.
I hate to keep saying this sentence, but sounds like Hot 98.3.
Hey, so what about the club then? You're talking about the remote accolades?
Accolades. I'm getting ready. The guy used to like listening to me, the owner of the club. His name was Jim Blair. And so I finally meet the guy. The guy's a graduate of Annapolis. You could tell he's been on a few intoxicants. He's always a little high. But
oh my goodness.
Club owner. Yeah.
Club owner.
Yeah.
But his wife was his wife was there at the time, and she was helping him in the studio, in the office. So when I walked in, Jim comes up to me and he shakes my hand. He goes, I listen to your show. I see you going places. And he shook my hand. That's why I want you here. And I never forgot what Jim told me that time. But I also thought Jim was just blowing smoke, because club owners do that. They blow smoke. So you don't know if they're just saying it to hear themselves talk.
Yeah.
Right.
Club owners are scumbags. Don't worry. We always talk about that on the show. Go ahead.
And I made the charge was $75 to broadcast live. He ended up paying me $125.
Good
He
for
paid
him.
me $125.
Good
And
for
then
him.
I got to do another 3 remotes after the first one. Anyway, you fast forward, and I'm doing the top 88 at KRQ, and I'm answering the phone calls, doing the countdown numbers, and I get the call and answer the phone. Hey, KRQ. And he's like, Rich Donovan. It's like, yeah. He goes, Rich Donovan. I went, yeah. He goes, you sound an awful lot like this guy named Richard Benjamin. I was like, what? No one knows that. He goes, it's Jim Blair. And the minute he said that, I just reversed, I wasn't recording him or anything like that. And he just said, I told you would go places. And
that's cool.
Then you fast forward, right? I'd just gotten back from Virginia Beach, was up in Sierra Vista. Then I went back to Tucson, worked with you guys. Then ended up going back home. My dad got sick. And my friend Grady at the time said, hey, there's a job. I wouldn't mind you coming in to do this job. So I go in for the interview, and I start doing afternoons just as a fill. And I'm, just doing a normal show. Still got
Afternoons
my
are fun though. Afternoons are, especially for someone like you, because you like that top 40 format. You know what I mean?
I took
But
everything that I
basically-
learned and I brought it to that station. Everything that I learned, delivery. But I also remembered that that's where I got my start too. So that was a big deal. It's like full circle. So I'm doing the afternoon drive show, and I see the door slowly open up, and I see this guy peeking his head. He's looking through the door. I was like, "What's up?" He opens the door, and I was like, "Why does this guy look so familiar?" Because it was Jim Blair.
Oh wow!
Really?
He was working at the station as a sales rep, as an AE, because he sold all of his businesses, and he was a sales guy there. He comes in and he gives me this huge hug, and he goes, I was like, no way, we got Rich Donovan on the radio down here now. We finally got some good radio. And I was like, Jim, you don't have to say that stuff. Look, he goes, I'm just glad you're here. And he's still there, by the way. He still works there. And I get
This is Sierra Vista?
Yeah.
Or this is wow.
He's still doing sales there. And he's really good because he's tied into the community. He knows everybody. He's been in nightclub businesses. So this guy knows his stuff. He's a smart guy. His brother works at Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. He's one of the managers at the electric company. So he's really tied into the community. So I get these emails and these videos from Jim standing in my old production room. He's crying. Standing in the production room. It's like, I wish you were still here. So I get those once a month.
Awesome.
That's
So,
cool.
That's pretty cool. No, that's a good connect, because there are people like that do want you to succeed, but they're few and far between in radio, especially in the 80s and 90s.
Well, and then club owners
Yeah.
too, for that matter. 'Cause
Yeah, yeah.
There's certain club owners that we bag on all the time on this show. At least I do. Adelaide's polite. He won't say names. I'll call him right out, bro. I'll be like, Metro Stevie, let me tell you something right now. But
I remember, dude, there was this DJ at what is it? Raiders Reef
oh man,
wow.
off on Golf Links.
we
right?
know the place.
And I just moved up there, and I was lateraling over, and I quit power, and it was in between radio gigs, and I needed a job to bridge the gigs. And there was this DJ who was probably the worst club DJ, and he's trying to act like he is he is the god of club DJs. And anytime he would talk on the microphone, I couldn't. He's like, it was like, how do you know what is he doing?
Wait, what were you doing at the boat in the first place?
I was gonna be a DJ.
Raiders Reef, for those watching.
Is a strip club.
Yes.
This is the most depressing strip club in
Can
America.
we call it the
It's a
ugly
tad
chick
one.
boat? Call it the
Yeah,
ugly
that's
chick
so.
boat.
So here's the thing. Rich has a lot of experience with strippers, and I want to talk about that in a couple moments here. But
You had to go there.
sorry, because Adelaide did too. That's the thing. So I was like, oh, we can talk about that. But anyways, me and Adelaide had to work at Raiders Reef at one point. Rich, what was that?
Monday
GM
Night
we had?
Football.
Yeah, what was our
Oh,
GM?
Alan Herman.
Alan
Oh,
Herman.
Oh,
Yeah,
and Jose.
Herman, what a dweeb
Yeah,
that guy.
No, dude.
I
so
worked
that,
under him too.
dude. So that
okay.
that guy sends us to this stupid strip club, right? And it's the gutter strip club. So we show up. We're supposed to be doing a stupid Monday Night Football thing, and he's telling us that we're supposed to be inviting people to bring their girlfriends and wives down to watch football at that place. As he's telling me this, a girl comes in with dirty clothes. And when I say dirty clothes, I mean you went out gardening wearing sweatpants.
That's
What's going on,
Panama.
Al?
What's up, Panama?
Yeah, dude. Anyways, and like you went out gardening and got dirty sweatpants and like have that little dirt thing on your arm. She comes in like dressed like that, dude, and just takes her sweatpants off, and she's in her stripper outfit. And I'm like, yeah, this is not a good strip place. This is not. I would not want to invite people.
What's so weird about Raiders Reef? I'm in there interviewing for the job, and there was this girl on stage dancing, and I was like, why does she look familiar? It was a girl that I went to high school with. Her name was Lori Hope, and but I had a crush on her. She was a dancer, like a cheerleader, when I was the band trumpet player, and I used to have a crush on her because she was hot, long blonde hair, and I'm walking out. I said, "What? Oh my God, it's Lori!" And she saw me. And it's like her face went white because I'm seeing her naked.
Dude, she was at the boat?
The boat. And she should have been somewhere else because she was the hottest one there.
Yeah,
She still looked good.
But you know what? Here's the trick. There's two things. One, crystal meth. Two,
She didn't
Adelaide.
look, she didn't look drugged up. You can normally tell the ones that look drugged up. She didn't look like she had been doing anything for at least a certain amount of time because she still looked healthy.
Adelaide dated the hottest girl at the boat at the time when we had to work at the boat.
You don't have to tell me about strippers and how they look.
Well, but she said, we'll get there. But she said, because I want to talk about radio before we talk about this. But she said that she made a lot of money there because all the girls there were mud ducks. So she would like if she had to work at a nice place, there'd be all the pretty girls there.
More competition.
Compete. But since they were all mud ducks over at the boat, she would make more money there.
Mud ducks.
Yeah, that's what she said.
That was a quote, right? That was exactly
I
what she
believe
said.
that was what she said. But yeah, anyways, all right, let's get back into radio. Let's get away from strippers for a couple minutes.
Anyways, I was applying for the job as this disc jockey.
Oh, that's right. This does add to radio. Yeah, that's right. You're going to the boat.
Correct. Right. And this guy is so on to, I can't remember what his name was, but he was so into himself. And he says, why don't you just do what I do? And I was like, there's no freaking way I'm going to do what you're doing. I can't even understand you talking to me now. And I'm saying, I can't believe I'm applying here to work with this idiot. So luckily, a day later, I get a call that I have an interview at KRQ. I ended up getting. There was no interview, by the way. I didn't end up getting the interview because my interview turned into a tryout. But I didn't interview with anybody.
I know, but who was the PD at the time? Is what I'm asking.
The PD at the time was Tim Richards.
Tim Richards, yeah. Okay.
And he already knew that I existed. I had turned in a tape and a resume. So he knew that I was interested in a job. But I used the call as an excuse to not work at Raiders Reef. And he's like, well, why are you quitting? I went, well, because I just got hired at KRQ. And that shut him up. He's like,
yeah, it's
really?
Respect, because KRQ was the number one station.
Of course,
yeah.
At the time, of course, I hadn't had the job yet. I didn't get the job yet. I just didn't want to work there. And I used that as an excuse not to go back because I was like, I do not want to work at this place.
That place is a dump, dude. It's where
still
dreams
there,
go
too.
to die.
It's still there.
I don't get that place is disgusting. Well, here's the formula: bunch of low baller drug dealers, bunch of medium baller strippers, and then drugs. That is the formula to Raiders Reef.
I think the place that owned Curves at the time was they owned Raiders Reef too. But anyway,
I feel like Curves has the same formula, but they just have a little higher scale of dancer.
Miracle Mile. No, they're not on Miracle Mile. They're on
Curve. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Oracle, right? Yeah, they're on Oracle.
Yeah, Curves was the other one.
Okay.
There was Tucson Disneyland. There was the
TDs,
boat.
yeah,
and then there was Curves.
Tony and Dana.
Tony and Dana is what you call TD. Oh, really?
TD stood for Tony and Dana.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, did it really? Not Tucson Disneyland.
Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Tony and Dana.
Uncle Dwight. Where's my Uncle Dwight? He's going to mention the boat.
The guy that owned Gotham, the guys that own Gotham were the ones that own TDs.
Really?
Really?
Yes.
That kind of makes sense, huh? Because TDs was like a classier joint.
Because I bounced for the guys at Gotham.
That's right. You bounced for a little bit. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Dude, you know who he bounced with, Adlai?
Huh.
What was that cat? Remember the teacher who what was that?
Bond? Chris Bond?
Yeah, Chris Bond. He bounced with Chris Bond. And Chris Bond was a D-bag to him. He's like, dude, I don't want to deal with this cat. But let's get back to this.
I don't remember Chris.
I remember, dude. I'll remind you later. But let's get back to this. Let's get back to this because man, these stories are awesome. Let's get back to this. So you went to KRQ before you were at Hot 97?
No, I was at Power first.
Or, I'm sorry, Power
97.5.
Power 97.5.
Correct. I was there first.
Wait, so how are you ending up at the strip joint then?
Well, I ended up closing the station down when everybody
Power 97.5.
Correct. When we went dark because I was a program director.
And then you went to the strip joint.
Everybody was quitting.
Okay, hold on. So we're way too far in this story because I want to hear about Power 97.5.
Yeah, and if I could correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, Power 97.5 was a taste of a big city station in Tucson. It's not a small market, but it wasn't a big market. And you're like, I heard
it by accident. I heard it by accident.
By 98.3, I had the dial, and it kind of went over, and I was like, this station's legit. And then it was Power 97.5. It was a great station.
I
Morning
heard it in
show,
Sierra Vista.
mixing all that.
I put my stereo on Seek, and just by freak coincidence, it stopped on 97.5. And I was like, what is that? And I thought it was coming from the border, across the border, because we're right next to Mexico. So we get a lot of bleed over.
Yeah.
And then I heard Scott Fischer's voice with the call letters KSJM. And I was like, no way. And it said, we're a new station, and Scott's voice. And there was no disc jockeys at the time. It was just music and imaging.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, I gotta get a tape together. I gotta get some stuff, because I had to leave. I was drowning, because I went back to K101. My friend Chris had just died. So so I ended up working there, but the management, they were just a bunch of clowns, total clowns.
Oh, wow.
I'd come back from Virginia Beach before he died. Anyway, luckily, I hit Seek and found Power just out of coincidence. And the next day after I hit Seek, I got my crap together and I put it on 97.5 on the car, and I listened to it the entire way up. And I'm hearing music that, KRQ's not playing, but Phoenix radio stations are playing. And it's like, and the signal doesn't sound too bad. It's coming out of, I think Green Valley, I think. So I get there and Isaac is there. Isaac, you remember Isaac, right?
I
I never met Isaac. No, I never met Isaac.
He was the general manager, just a kind of a sleaze bag.
We
never
GM.
we didn't work there. We only worked at Hot 98.3. We never worked at Power.
Yeah, Isaac and Rick Verdugo.
That's the name. Yeah, he was a KOH guy as well, right?
Yeah, Rick
was
Verdugo.
a sales manager. Yeah. And I gave him my tape. They didn't listen to my tape. Isaac brought me into the studio, or into his office, and he started asking me about my radio background. I told him I just came back from Virginia Beach. I was doing radio in Virginia Beach, which is Market 32. So they were using that as, well, this guy's got major market experience. He's worked in Market 30. It's not Market 32 anymore. It's like Market, 29 or something like that. I don't know. It's grown. Anyway, I didn't want to say anything. Well, it's not a big deal, really. Come on, whatever. So he brings Rick in, and they both start asking me these questions. They ask, when can I start? And then they found out that I did production. So when they found out that I did production, they wanted me to start right away. So within 3 days, I was working at Power, doing prod for them full time.
Were you handy with the steel back then, bro? Was it still reel to reel?
Their production room was horrible, but I did the best job I could, and they liked it. And that's how I got the job. Basically,
what were you producing on though? Was it carts and reel to reel, or what?
Carts, reel to reel, and there was I think an old CD player in the production room. It wasn't a bad production room. It was just ancient.
Here's the thing, you guys, and for people watching, Rich Donovan is super anal about his production. It has to be completely time perfect.
To be perfectly honest, Dub did a commercial in that production room that I still to this day don't know how he did, because it was so good.
Really?
I mean, it was one of those commercials like, you did it in that production room? No way. Because it sounded really, really good.
It's one of those ones where you just got an accident, like the mic was just in the right way, the door might have been cracked a little.
Commercials, and he used to rap all of his commercials. Pant Palace was really, really popular at the time. His jingle that he made for Pant Palace, hilarious, but everybody knew it.
Was he trying to be funny with it, or
was he trying to be cool?
Dub has always been that way. He's a showman. No matter what it is, big or small, he'll always make it big.
Let's get to Dub. So you get there. So now so the legacy people who work with you were Rascal, Paco, Vicky, Chico, and Dub. So and Frederico. So how do you start meeting these people?
Like some of them, I know Matt wasn't working there yet. He came in later on along with Lady D.
That's
Lady
right.
D, yeah. Cortez, right?
Yeah, D. Cortez.
Who's now a fully fledged meteorologist.
She broke a fountain in my apartment one time, Rich. It was back in the day when she used to like to turn up. And we were at the Rock, and she's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "D, you can't drive home like that, yo." And she's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Look, man, I know my apartment's whack, but you're more than welcome.
You know,
Crash it off."
she was a party waiting to happen.
Yeah.
She scared me, but she was a natural.
Oh no, she wasn't bad on the radio. She sounded nice on the radio.
Me and her actually did a stint at Hot together. She was looking to get back into radio, but she wasn't sure. I, to be perfectly honest, hated working at Hot. I hated it because everybody there, when I was there, just didn't care.
Okay, wait. So hold on. Let's get to that because I want to talk about Power 97.5 or what's the name of that station? Was it Power 97.5?
I closed Power. I know, but go ahead.
How are these characters becoming who they became? Like, so how does Rascal show up? How does Dub show up? Kid Corona, yeah.
Me and Mark and Buffy, we end up becoming the morning show. Rich, Buffy, and Kid, Rich, and Buffy, and so it's that three unit kind of morning show. And Kid was this, you know how Kid can be. He's very arrogant at the time, but then again, so we're kind of all arrogant. But he was Mr. I want to run the show, and if I'm running the board, I'm the boss. That's the thing. But he not to slam Mark. He did a horrible job running the board.
Oh no.
But and that's what ended up getting him fired, or he quit, I think. And then he ended up leaving, but that was after Dub had left. I can't remember. Dub was already doing middays. No, he was doing afternoons because he used to do the roll call. That's where he started doing the roll call.
Power or over at KRQ?
No, he was working at Power at the time. He hadn't left yet, and he was doing the afternoons at the time.
What was Rascal doing?
Rascal was doing swings at that time because he didn't come in. He didn't start working there I was there for maybe 3 or 4 months before he even showed up. Him and Lady D were friends. So I think they actually came together because she used to sing for Rascal.
That's right. Yeah. When he
performing.
was
sing for him.
When he was
rapping.
MC Khan.
Yes. And his song was good. I love that song.
I bagged on him so hard when he was on the show about that song.
I loved his song.
Oh, dude, we pretend like we were gonna play a song. I'm like, let's play the song ad late. We played the Revenge of the Nerds song. You know that one? Clap your hands, everybody. And we're like, oh man, Rascal, you're good. It was fun.
I told him to send it to me. I played on my show.
Yeah,
he never did.
The Knights of the Round Table. Knights of the Brown Table.
That's right. That's right.
Because I was like, Knights of the Round Table, right, Rascal? He's like, Knights of the Brown Table. I'm like, oh yeah.
I think then he got in trouble and something happened, and
Rascal.
He disappeared for a little while. I didn't even know what happened to him. And then D, she kind of disappeared. Me and Dub kind of hit it off. I was his. We used to do Party Patrol together.
Fun. Yeah, I remember Party Patrol.
I was the grumpy old man. I was the driver. Because he always wanted to do some illegal stuff while we were in the van. So I was always the guy going, come on, man, we're gonna get arrested. He wanted to drop a watermelon off the top of the tower in downtown
I
Tucson.
thought you were talking about smoking weed. I was like, Dub smoke weed like that? Man, I didn't know that. I got down with Dub back in the day.
Oh, I got some Dub stories for you. I got some Dub stories. That rhyme with peaches and cream and getting his butt kicked, and a woman that abused a palm tree in front of the radio station.
Oh my gosh,
it was some fun stuff.
All right, hold on a sec. So Power 97.5 closes down, and then everybody goes over to Hot. When do you meet Paco?
Oh, Paco's there. He's the APD at the time at Power.
But when does he take over the morning show?
Actually, that's a good question. I don't remember when Paco did. Oh, I was doing nights. I ended up lateraling into nights. And that's when Chico and Paco started doing it.
Yeah, the morning house party.
So yeah, that's when they started doing it. I was more involved with programming and the production aspect of it. But we were very heavily we were everywhere. I mean, that station
I
was
remember.
station was full throttle, 100 miles an hour. And I was still living in Sierra Vista, so I was commuting back and forth, and it was killing me.
Oh wow, well, and because Power 97.5, it was like a jazz station or something, easy listening before it flipped to this rhythmic format, which I don't even think they called it rhythmic at the time.
I think it was K-Light or something like that.
I wish we would have been there, Adley, because the problem by the time me and Adley got there, like everybody was sad. So like, and we were young and filled with you know what, and just like, come on, let's go.
I was so mad when I had to shut it down. There was I remember the last week that people were bailing on me. I had Melissa had left. Lady D was still helping me. I was doing all the programming, and I was doing 2 shows at the time because there was no automation back then. And then I had this overnight guy who was trying to get hired through Mercury Records at the time, Interscope. He calls me at 2:00 in the morning saying that he's done working there and he's going to leave at the end of his shift, which was 5 in the morning. And he says, I'll leave the passes on the board. I says, can't you at least wait till I get there? And he hung up on me.
Oh, jeez.
Anyways,
that sucks.
I was seeing my girlfriend Monica at the time, and she wanted to go down there and beat him up. She was so mad at him. And this guy was a weasel. He was a weasel. Me and Dub actually ended up running into him at a concert, and he was working as an intern for Interscope Records. And he comes up to me and tries to talk to me like we're cool.
Ugh. I'd be so
And I'm looking at him.
Bro.
He puts his hand out like I'm going to shake his hand, and I'm like, put my hands in my pocket. I'm like, get away from me, man.
Yeah. Oh, why the mass exodus from Power 97.5 though?
Because people knew it was going to be closing.
Yeah, it was going dark.
So I couldn't sustain it anymore because people just didn't care. They said, "Well, if we're closing, why stay on?" So,
and Paco had already made his deal with
Art,
with Art LeBeau at this point. Yeah. His goal was to bring everybody over.
It was me and Vicky were doing the mornings at that time. So, that was fun. I had lateraled from nights way back to mornings again. I have all those shows on tape, by the way. So
that's cool.
And Alan Caith was kind of like our third wheel in the morning. He would chime in and we'd use him on the airs. And it sounded funny. Alan was really good on the air. But
I never put that man on the air.
He was entertaining.
I never put that man on the air. I could not stand that guy.
Yeah, Alan he can be a bit much. He's very into himself.
I think he had a crush on Adley, to be totally honest with you. I'm not even lying.
Me and Alan went to lunch several times. When he found out that I was planning on closing the station, he wanted to meet up for lunch. He wanted to see what my plans were, and I wasn't going to tell him because I at the time didn't really trust Alan because Alan was tied into a lot of bigwigs, and I didn't want him to say something because I knew Alan was known to be a talker at the time. I'm not saying he would say anything to jeopardize my career. I was just afraid if I said the wrong thing, it might screw me in other ways. So I just kept it really generic when we went to lunch. But the last day that we were on the air, I remember it was E-Love, Efren, Lady D. I think even Melissa helped out a little bit. And we had 2 board ops who were phenomenal. They helped out a lot. And 1 promotion guy. And I called them all up and I said, look, we're going dark tonight. Friday night, we're done. I'm turning the station off Friday night. And we did this whole day of just nothing but dance music. And we ended up going to the Outback at the end of the night. And we had this power party in the special VIP area. Everybody showed up. Rick Verdugo was there. He got all mad because I was turning the station off. I was like, what do you want me to do? Run it by myself? And I just remember him having those little teeny Nokia cell phones?
Yeah.
He had the little one. I remember he was so mad. I don't know what he had been drinking, but he was so mad that I had shut the station off at midnight that he chucked his phone across the room and it just exploded onto the wall. And I'm standing there like, really, Rick? That's going to make me go turn the station on. And Dub said he was listening I did some special production for the countdown to the station being signed off, and Dub said that he cried listening to the sign off of the station because it went dark at midnight, and that was it.
He's crying in his mansion from his new gig over across the street, sipping his martini.
But then Rascal said that you got a job at like
I worked at K-Hit for a little bit.
K-Hit, that's it exactly. And he said that you guys stayed real tight and you call each other and complain. And it was you and Fred and Rascal. But then you guys all formed over to Hot 98.3.
Correct. We did. And you know what? There for a while it was all right. I remember when Andy B was there.
Rest in peace, Andy B.
You know, don't get me wrong. I love Danny.
Oh, bro, we've told plenty of stories about Andy B on this show.
Like him on the air. He was a little annoying on the radio.
Jam Andy B. Come on, bro.
Alex C. Remember Alex C? Whatever happened to that guy? He hated Dub.
Yeah.
He hated Dub with a passion. He wanted to beat Dub up so bad, and he had this on-air feud with him. And Dub, we would say he would do stuff on the air, but he would make these underhand comments on the air, but that no one else would know what it meant. Only Alex C would know what it meant. And
wait, Dub would do that? Dub would do that?
Oh, he was good at
KRQ?
He would do it.
He'd go on the offensive,
He was at KRQ and he was doing that? Okay.
Poking the bear. He'd do it all the time. But he would do it in such a nonchalant way. Nobody knew what he was doing. That's how good he was.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that's awesome.
Dub is a showman. He knows how to hide that stuff. And that's what
hold on real quick. I'll say this. When we were the Chino brothers, when we were like the street team for D-Wayne Chavez and he was up against Dub, we used to listen to KRQ. And if Dub played a hip hop song, we knew he was about to play a hip hop song. We would play it before he would play it. So if he was front running the music, he'd be like, "Oh, we're playing DMX." It's like, "Oh, we already know what he's gonna play," and we automatically just break the playlist, play it before he'd play it. You remember that, Adley?
Vaguely, but yeah, I do remember doing stuff like that too.
You and D-Wayne were all about that stuff, man.
Yeah,
you and D-Wayne were like, we're always about that.
Guerrilla radio warfare is what that was. I mean, things got pretty heated with Coyote Country and Kim at one point where somebody went over and deflated the Kim cow at a remote. I remember that.
Awesome.
And it was outside of the New West, and Kim had this huge cow, and they pulled the plug on it, and it flattened during the middle of
that cow.
the day.
And I remember when they did that.
Mark thought it was funny, and then they got in trouble for it. So Mark took the blame. Mark thought it was funny, but people don't realize how big that cow was.
That was a big cow.
When it flattened out, it blocked the entire driveway. And
was that Mark Medina?
Yeah.
Mark Medina. Okay.
It was hardcore radio guerrilla warfare, but at the point, when I think we were doing a giant remote at the park at TEP, and KRQ would put up all these banners, and they're bannering the place. And the the hot street team went over there and cut all the banners down.
Yeah,
and put all their banners up.
That was us. Yeah.
And somebody called the police.
Yeah.
I think the police got involved.
I remember.
I wasn't there, but I heard about it.
I was
and
there.
Donovan, just to explain to people watching, when you go up against a Clear Channel and you're another station and you go to remote where they're at, dude, they have 6 guys on their promo team. They got all the good equipment. They got the
rollaway banners,
and you're like
disposable banners.
Your one final banner.
Yeah,
we
got you got
where do we put
this? Brothers and some banners. That was it.
Remember that huge, gigantic power banner that we had made?
The big balloon. I remember the big balloon you guys had. The KRQ balloon.
Yeah, the inflatable balloon that you could raise up into the air.
Yeah,
they stopped doing that because it became a problem in the air.
Oh, really?
Yes,
okay.
it was made to float in the air if you used,
helium
or
whatever.
Yeah.
But it became an issue when it would go up too high or if it was windy.
Oh yeah, that's true.
so they stopped sending it up. So it even had a light on the top of it.
Oh wow!
One of the best things about Power 97.5 was that sweet van you guys had.
Or was it the Astro van? It was actually
Astro van.
Yeah, that man was whack, dude.
You should have seen it before it was painted. It was this god awful red color, and it had white walls.
Yeah, that van was whack, dude. I'm sorry, bro. The High 98.3 van was whack, but that van was way more whack. At least our van was just a painter's van.
Well,
like,
it
hey,
looked good
man.
after they detailed. They put the rims on it. They painted it black. They put the logo on the side. I mean, it looked pretty tight. It ran horrible, but it looked tight. So,
Oh, bro, you want to know what ran more horrible than any vehicle in radio history? That KRQ ice cream truck, dude. Did you ever have to drive that, Rich?
no, we actually were back up for it. We were in the small little Isuzu.
Oh my gosh. I used to I had that real small stint at KRQ and I had to drive that stupid thing. Oh my dude, it was a death trap. It was a death trap, dude.
I remember when they bought it. I remember when they bought
Was
that
it-
piece of crap.
And you served ice cream out of it?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
would.
Like,
yeah,
for real?
It was Blue Bunny ice cream.
Yeah, Blue Bunny was the sponsor. Dude, it was a completely different world at KRQ than it was at Hot 98.3, dude. Like, it was a completely different world. First things first, like, I was just on the promotions team there, and Hooters waitresses were like, "Oh, you work at KRQ?" I was pretty much the #1 star at Hot 98.3. No one knew who I was out of South Tucson. No one. Like, I'm being honest, dude. It was if you're in South Tucson and you're Sketch the Producer, word, man, what's up, homeboy? Da da da. As soon as you got past Speedway, dude, nobody knew who you were. Like, oh, there's a rap station in town. I was like, yeah, man, I'm the guy on there.
I want working at Hot. It was a great transitional period, but I really could not stand working there. I hated it. And there's a reason. There was more than one reason why I hated it. It was the attitude of everybody that worked there. Everybody just kind of hated their jobs. And what happens is if you surround yourself by people that are awful, you end up emulating your surroundings and becoming awful as well. And I started sounding awful on the air. I was listening to my. I was like, you know what? I need to leave. I'm tired of this. And I remember being called into Alan's studio or his office, and I remember Paco
Alan
sitting.
Herman.
Yes,
Yeah.
Paco was sitting in his office was right across the hallway from
I heard
Alan's
this.
office.
Hold on, real quick, Rich. One day, me, Paco, and Rich went out to lunch, and Rich told me this story. I don't know if he's going to tell it exactly how he told it the day that he told it to me, because there's a dead person involved now in this story, and God bless the dead, and everybody has respect for that man. I feel the same way you do, dude. So if you want to tell the story you told it to me the first time, feel free.
Look, I know Dub has mad love for him. Okay, I've never liked the man, never liked him, and this day proved why I didn't like the man.
What the
I
heck?
walk
Okay.
I walk into the office and
You know
Alan's
who we're
there,
talking about, right?
and Art LeBeau
Pretty
is there.
sure, yeah.
Alan
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Art
okay.
are both in there right now. Art used to show
Yeah.
up all the time. Wasn't a big deal because he owned it. Big broadcasting, that's his baby.
Mhm.
Now I have nothing but respect for Art. I show you respect, you show me respect. I don't care who you are. You don't talk to me that way, right? So Alan starts telling me how I need to start doing my shows. Like you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. Yeah, you can't have Lady D in the studio anymore. She's going to do her own show. You can't do any of this stuff anymore. And I was like, you're just taking life. You're taking the life right out of the station.
That's why you never let Alan on the air with you. That's why I never let that fool on the air with me. But anyways, go ahead.
And I said, well, I hate to break this to you, but I disagree with you. I think that the stations, to be perfectly honest, sound horrible. Everybody here needs a course in radio for dummies. This place is horrible. And Art is sitting there staring at me, eyeballing me, and I think he hit Alan in the back or something. Alan stopped talking, and Art goes, "You are not the captain of this ship. I'm the captain. You do what's ordered of you. You do the job and you love the job." Okay, I quit. And I remember because Paco was in the studio. I knew Paco knew something was going to go down. And I remember before I walked in, Paco looked at me. He was like, "Give me that look. Like, don't do anything stupid." Gave me that look.
Yeah.
And when I must have said some other stuff too. I was a little loud because Art said some pretty insulting things.
I think you insulted his hair plugs too. To be
I
totally honest with you, Rich.
yes.
I'm
you're
pretty
right, you're
sure
right.
you did, because the last time I heard this story, I
You're right.
have a memory like an elephant, Adley.
You're right. I
Here's
didn't want
what
to.
happened.
Go ahead.
Here's what happened.
Tell me what I
Rich-
told you.
Rich, and me and Pac went out to lunch one day, and Rich was telling me about how much he couldn't stand And Rich, you're not alone in this podcast. I didn't like the guy either,
but
dude.
he never wore deodorant.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude,
it was
I didn't like the guy either.
horrible. Oh,
All
my
right, all right,
God.
hold on. I'll tell you a story. Adley doesn't like to tell because he pretends he's Mr. Nice Guy. So Art LeBeau comes to fire us all eventually, right? He shows up, right? Now, this man has never met me, and he thought my name was Stretch. And like I'd have to run the board for his crappy show all the time, dude. And it's just like, this is to Chino from, Carla. You have the nicest turd cutter in the West. And you're just like, I'm done. I'm done listening to this man. But anyways,
Killer oldies.
yeah, so this fool shows up, right? With like this like Panama Jack pimp suit, dude. Like a white suit with like a colorful top, And he's walking around with his alligator shoes. I think he had a little hat like Don Knotts in the Music Man. Just walking around, boom, boom, all 4'7" of them, bam, bam, like this, right? Hey, how's it going?
He was an
Hey,
elf.
how's it going?
Yes.
Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? And he's coming over, and I'm trying to produce, bro. And that station had 3 radio stations and only 2 production studios. So if you had production time, you had to be quick. It's like, all right, I got to do this mad quick. No, Art had to come in, dude. And me and Adlai were in there. And so Art comes in, he gives us the what for, and then he walks out, right? Does his old song and dance, tells us some story about being on happy days or whatever. And he walks out. Or was it Laugh-In? He was on Laugh-In. And he walks out. And then Adlai tells me, hey, did you see the pee stain on that dude's pants? And I said, no, man. Apparently, then we had the meeting, and you could just see, dude, he's wearing white pants. He had a pee stain on.
I swear to God, Art was in cryogenics. I think he was a clone. He was a clone.
Him and Keith Richards, bro. They had the same doctor, bro. He was giving him them stay alive things. Or either that they made a deal with the devil, bro. I can't tell you either way.
I remember standing up in the studio in the office, and Art was standing right in front of me, and I just remember the smell. His smell. It was making me angry, and I'm looking down on his head, because he had just got, I think, hair plugs, and so there was this line. And it was hard not to look at that. It's true. And
you told me you said to him, you said, I quit. You could take this job in your doll hair or something like that and shove it up your butt. Something
shove up your butt, yeah.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. And I remember opening the door and Paco's doing this on his desk. He heard the whole thing from his office, and I'm getting all my stuff. I thought they were going to walk me out, but they gave me time to get my stuff and leave. And Paco goes, "What am I supposed to do now? Your show is coming up in an hour." I said,
my gosh.
I said, well, I guess you're doing the show. So I get in my car and I called our Dub. This is one of my very first cell phones, and I'm driving home and I called Dub and I said, Dub, hey man, I just quit hot. I just told Art to shove it. I told Alan I was going to punch him in the mouth or something like that. I was mad. I said, and I just needed to vent. I just wanted to see if you wanted to hook up. Hang the phone up. Like 30 seconds later, I get the call back. It's Dub. He goes, where are you at? I says, I'm driving home. He goes, come to Rialto. Come to Rialto right now. I was like, okay. He goes, we're having a concert here. Come to the park, and you can hang out with me at the show. All right. Oh, okay. So I go to the park. Destiny's Child is playing. There's another artist. I can't remember. There's 3 artists that were playing. There's a summer jam.
Was this a KRQ Summer Jam?
Yeah.
Oh wow, they had good shows.
Yeah, and I got pictures with Destiny's Child that night. And those are online. But
that's awesome.
And I remember Dub comes up, he gives me the VIP pass, and we're talking and goes, so you told off Art, right? Because Dub and Art were very close. That was Dub's adopted Nino, if you didn't know. So I understand that there was a connection there between Dub and Art, and so he had to. So I don't bash his relationship with him. I just think Art was very into himself. Very. Anyway, so Dub didn't hold that against me ever. He says, all right, so I'm gonna go on stage in a second. So here's the microphone, and here are the copy points. And I was like, what do I need this stuff for? He goes, because they're coming to you in about 10 minutes. I'll be on stage. And I went, and he just leaves me, walks off, and he gives me his headset. And I went, what the hell am I supposed to do with this thing? And he just says, listen for the remote send out. He says, you know what it sounds like. Okay. So they send it out to me, and I do this break with the call, everything on the form. And I pretty much nailed the break. It was about 60 seconds.
Hit the post.
It was a music bed, and it goes right into commercials. And
lazy. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No board op at the time.
No, there was a board up. This was when radio was still live.
Lazier.
There were no recording of the breaks. Everything was live. So we didn't call in and do our breaks. We did them live. So that was, you had to be on top of your crap. And since I'd been practicing KRQ since I was a kid, I had every call letter, all the positioning statements down pat. So right after I get done with the break, I see the trailer door open, and here comes Tim Richards. He comes walking down the stairs. I was like, what the heck? And he comes walking up to me, takes the mic from me, and he goes, come see me tomorrow. I'm like, what? And Dub comes walking up the stage. He goes, you just tried out. Congratulations.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
That was my interview. Awesome. So I just remember feeling this rush, this blood rush to my head when I got done with the break. Like I was going to pass out because I wasn't breathing. I did the break and I did it all in one breath.
Oh yeah.
And Dub said it sounded like I'd been doing it for years. I was like, oh, well, thanks. I don't remember what I said. I remembered reading what he had written down, Destiny's Child and the other groups. And then Freestyle was there. So we all ended up going up and taking pictures with all the bands. And I stood right next to Beyonce, and we took a bunch of pictures with the girls.
Wait, Freestyle? Freestyle from on the air?
From Dub's show, yeah.
From Dub's crew. Okay, yeah. Freestyle.
But
I don't know. So, Rich, here's the thing. I know you love Dub. I've never loved Dub, and I know that it's like a work rivalry thing, but like I just have never liked the guy, and I know you love him.
Well, no, look, listen, look. Dub is either you take it or leave it with Dub. He's a showman at 100%. That's just who he is, and you can. I had some issues with Dub. Me and Dub actually have been in very verbal arguments, like huge fights, and we had it happened at KRQ. Where his ego would get in the way, and I'd get sick of that. He would play these weird jokes on me, and sometimes I didn't appreciate it, and I would get in his face and yell at him for it. So, but Dub has changed a lot since then. He's not, we were all a bunch of dumb kids when we were younger. We all had egos being in radio because it's an ego business. It's based around if you don't have that showmanship on the air, you're not going to go anywhere. You have to have a little bit of showman, and that's where that comes from. And Dub is all about show. Dub is all about show. But when it comes right down to it, I said some things about Dub that I should have never said, and I completely called Dub and told him I was sorry for the things that I've said about him. And I still have nothing but respect for him because he's a perfect example of where you can go if you have that true radio dream and you have the means to get it done. And he's done that. And he's helped me too.
I'm not Rich. I'm not mad at you for loving Dub the way you do. And I feel
it's
like
not a love. It's more of a respect. I have the utmost respect for him.
I appreciate that. Like, I think the hard part for me is like, that's kind of how I feel about Adlai. But nobody hates Adlai. Like, what kind of idiot would hate Adlai? You have to be a jerk to hate Adlai. You know what I mean? Like, I've never met any human that said, except for your ex-wife probably, that says I hate Adlai. You know what I mean? But anyways,
not the stripper.
So no, that wasn't you. That wasn't her. All right, so you go over to KRQ, and now the war starts. So like me and Adlai get picked up. I go to the morning show. They poach Chico. Adlai's doing overnights. D-Wayne's doing mid or against Dub. Like
I'm swings.
What is that like then at that point? Because it's like you guys had really good jocks too. I remember Cricket. She was the overnight girl. She was good, dude. She could have been in a major market.
She's still good.
Yeah.
we actually hit it off. We were actually friends before I started working. I used to call her when she was doing overnights. We were friends. I used to just call her on the request line when I didn't know her at the time. But I'm also friends with Jewel, who used to do night times at KRQ when I was a kid. She used to go by Dr. Jewel Rivera, the Love Doctor. She's got the Old School Jewel podcast now, and I do her imaging for her podcast show.
Oh wow! You think you could talk her into coming on the Chino Brothers?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay,
sure. She's old school radio.
We'd love to have that.
She's KRQ from the past.
Yeah, we'd love to have that.
Wow.
And she's totally listening to Jewel on the radio when I was a kid was one of those things that was like, it was special because she was funny, naturally funny. She didn't even have to try. It was just everything she said was poetic and funny. And she would give out the worst advice, but it was the worst, best advice. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
It's hard to explain. It was like horrible advice, but done.
Yeah.
But well done, horrible advice.
Yeah. Like Danny Lovedwarf.
It was done that way on purpose. And that's what she was the master of. She was so good at it. And she was so good at hitting that mark, doing a phone call right up to the mark. This is before things are recorded correctly. And she would hit that mark every single time. And she knows, she's given me some of my equipment that I have in the studio now. Because she upgraded her stuff and sent me a bunch of her old equipment.
You know who I'd like to run into from back in the day is Kathy Rivers. I know she was doing something with that weird, what's that radio station, Adley? That hippie
KFMA.
radio station?
It was KFMA for a while.
No. So
I never
the
met
one you
Kathy.
worked at. You never met Kathy, Don?
I never worked with her.
No. The one you worked at, Adley, that community radio station.
KXCI?
Oh my God.
KXCI.
KXCI.
Yeah. Last I saw, she was GM over at KXCI.
Wow.
You never met her though, Rich?
No,
I'm
I may have met her. I've met a lot of people.
Yeah.
I can't with a straight face tell you if I've met her or not.
I think I've spoken with her. You knew a lot of people, and you ran a lot of circles. She was KFMA, and I worked with her at the Point. But dude, one of the it's interesting because she was a very radio person. Like, there's like you, Rich, you're a radio person, and you're actually very blessed because a lot of people who are radio persons end up having horrible voices, dude. They end up being sales managers. Like you love radio, and you were able to love radio. That you had a very special blessing from God. But anyways, let's get back to the story. So now the radio war's on. Do you want to know the one time I wanted to go down there and just take the giantest crap on KRQ's lawn and then just freaking throw a Molotov cocktail through your guys' window?
No.
The one time I wanted to destroy, I could not stand you guys. Like, we were going to call Chuck Roast and like team up with them. You guys gave away Ricky Martin tickets on Mojo and Betsy's show. And it was, I feel like there was backstage passes involved too, but you had to have another radio station call and say that KRQ and Mojo and Betsy were the best.
That's hilarious. It's kind of doing a Howard Stern kind of thing there.
Dude, I wanted to murder them. I was like, I want to kill these people. But then the guys over at KFMA took it too far afterwards. Like, they started calling, they started doing some pretty dangerous stuff too. They released a bunch of personal information about Cricket.
Oh wow. Yeah,
they started harassing Cricket's sister. It got bad. There was a court case that was filed against them. I actually had to do I had to record some of their phone calls and send them to the lawyers. She had recorded phone calls from one of the morning show hosts, and these were horrible phone calls. You should have heard some of them. And I had to literally record them into a special tape for the court hearing. So it got ugly. It got ugly.
For us,
I'm not saying I know exactly what happened. All I know is it got to the point where somebody should have gone to jail.
We never wanted to get personal with you guys. Like Pac was always serious about it. Like, don't be mentioning names. The only time we ever mentioned names, I remember one time we were in this chili cooking contest, and you were there, and Cricket was there, and me and Pac were there, and Pac won the chili contest, the cooking contest. And we talked about you guys on the air the next day because we didn't care. Like, we knew Art wasn't going to say nothing to us. But he was like, dude, do not talk openly about the people across the street that you hate. Like, you just don't do it. And then those guys over at KFMA, they started like really getting personal and like, yeah, it was that was
Lotus.
they were
Lotus
trying
put a
to be,
stop. Yeah, Lotus put a crush on that. They stopped that. They
Oh,
don't do
really?
that stuff. Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
They were trying to be like beyond Opie and Anthony. Like they were trying to be like way, way over the top.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Chuck Roast let that go on. He was the PD over there, and he was a pretty square cat. But
some weird stuff.
I don't remember what show it was. Are we not mentioning it?
I don't remember the names of the guys. It was two white dudes, and they'd buy these billboards all over town.
John and Frank, right?
John and Frank?
Was it John and Frank? I think it was John and Frank. Yeah.
Huh.
And they'd buy the billboards all over town that made fun of God and like they just they did everything.
They did they did that for you know, it's a brilliant advertising tool when you think about it. It gets people to talk, and they remember who it is. So even if they don't believe they don't believe what they're posting, it's like today's social media. You put it up there, people are going to remember it. So
yeah, bro, but I'm not going to say something I don't actually believe. Like I don't. Neither here nor there.
Like I said, they were on the extreme side. So
yeah, they wanted to do things that I wouldn't do on the internet, on the radio, and it was like
bad.
Yeah, it was like, dude, Rich, I remember you were getting mad. You were like, because they were talking mad crap about Betsy. She was your friend, and you were like,
I spent a lot of time with Betsy. We did a lot of reading, with the joy of reading with schools and stuff like that. So we would go to schools and read. And I did a lot of that with Betsy. And the reason why I had a little love for Betsy is because what she did for me when I first went to apply at KRQ, when John Peake was the program director. I was just a kid. I was only 17 when the first time I tried to apply for KRQ, and John Peake told me to come up and drop off a tape, and he'd sit down and talk with me. And I was all excited. I'm a dumb kid, and like, oh, I'm gonna get a job at KRQ. I can leave this place. This is when they were on Broadway, and I get to KRQ, and there's nobody in the lobby. And I get there when John tells me to get there, and I'm sitting in the lobby. There's nobody at the front desk. And I'm sitting there, I was like, for 20 minutes go by, and then I see this head pop up from behind the counter. She goes, "Have you been helped?" I was like, "Who is that?" And she goes, I said, "Oh my God, that's Betsy," because that's when they made TV commercials with Mike, Betsy, Mike Elliott and the KRQ Morning Zoo. And I saw, and Betsy was like a TV star. They made several commercials, and I said, "Oh my God, that's Betsy." And I went, I was supposed to meet with John Peake. And she had this look of confusion on her face, like, really? And I went, yes. She goes, okay, give me 1 second. And she goes back to the hallway, and then she comes around the side and opens up the side door. She goes, come with me. And I'm like, okay, I can't believe I'm in the hallway with Betsy Bruce. My God, what is going on here? And she pulls me into her office, and she shuts the door, and she says, have a seat. And she goes, John is on vacation. And I went,
oh,
what?
No.
She goes, I didn't want to say anything, but he's on vacation and won't be back until next month. And she knew right there that I was crushed by this because John had lied to me on purpose. And
oh, that's awful.
And Betsy, being the kind person that she was, she goes, but I'll tell you what, how about I show you around, give you a tour? And I'm shaking. My hands are shaking. This is a celebrity. This is the first time I've ever met somebody from a real radio station. She takes me in, and I meet Jeff Davis, who's doing middays at the time, who becomes my mentor. And she shows me the production rooms, and I'm like, I can't believe this. She brings me back to her studio, her office, and she asked me what I want to do, where I want to be.
Wait, she didn't take you for a swing around the merch room? She didn't let you fill your pockets a little bit?
I don't think she thought that's what I was there for.
Oh man, I would have been like, here.
I was just happy that I was with Betsy. I mean, I wasn't even thinking about anything else. I was literally on like cloud 9 being with Betsy. And she brought me in, and she picked my brain, wanted to know where I wanted to be. if radio was what was I truly wanted to be in, and I said yes. So I left her my tape and my resume. I don't know what she did with that. Fast forward, right? And I'm doing swings at KRQ, right? I get a call from Mojo. It's not untypical for this to happen. I've been working at KRQ for 3 years at this point. And Moj calls me and he goes, "Hey, I'm going on vacation." And it's customary for the morning show host to ask someone, customary for them to host, to call and say, "Hey, could you fill in for me?"
I remember this.
Yeah. Moj calls and asks if I could fill in for him. I was like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "You'll be doing the show with Betsy." I went, "Okay, all right." Me and Betsy have been doing, the joy of reading. I get in there early. I'm doing all the prep and stuff, and I'm sitting down in the chair, and Betsy comes walking in with this smile on her face, and she sits down across from me and she goes, "Remember that little conversation we had at my desk?" It was one of those surreal moments.
That's pretty cool, man.
When I have this, I'm just a dumb kid, and then it comes full circle, and I'm sitting at the control board where Mojo is supposed to be with Betsy, and I'm running the show. And that was probably the best week of my broadcasting life.
Cool.
I
Your
enjoyed
whole broadcasting career.
It's one of those more emotional things because it was special to me. I
remember that week.
Tommy trusted me enough to do the show, and just getting his trust meant the world to me. That's all I cared about.
You sounded good, bro. I remember that week because I was on the morning show that week. Obviously, I was on the morning show for the whole time at Hot 98.3. But I remember thinking they were going to pick you up as the morning show guy. I was like, man, this guy sounds amazing. And I knew Mojo.
I knew that wasn't going to happen. I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Mojo was kind of shopping his tape at the time, though.
Yes, and I think part of his, he was getting ready to leave. I think 2 months later, Lucas ended up coming in. He ended up moving. Now he's of course in Detroit. He's still at
he's been there forever too.
Yeah. He's the cash cow there. The same thing happened when Mark Medina. I was doing nights and I was doing production and all that crap. And the same thing happened when Mark Medina left and he was working at KZZP in Phoenix. And I'm at the mall in Phoenix with my wife at the time, and we're shopping, and I get this call from Mark, and Mark has a way of talking to you on the phone. It's like, "This is Mark," and Mark wasn't my boss anymore. But when I answer the phone, it's like, "What's up? This is Mark." What's going on, Mark? He goes, "Hey man, I know that you're a busy guy. I know that you got a lot going on, but I just wanted to I wanted to ask you this first before I asked anybody else." Like, "Sure, man. What?" "Well, I've got a weekend shift opened up here at KZZP. I want to know if you wanted to do it." But
that was nice.
But I know that you've got production, you got your full-time shift. I know that you're a busy guy. I don't expect you to say yes right away. Talk it over with your wife. Give me a call next week. And if you can't do it, I'm not going to be pissed. I just wanted to offer it to you. To get that call from Mark,
to
work
nice.
to work in Market 18 in Phoenix under Mark, was just the call alone was a compliment enough.
Yeah.
I didn't have to take the job. Knowing that Mark trusted me enough to put me on the air, that's all I needed. I was so happy by that phone call. And I was mad because I couldn't do it.
Oh.
Yeah. You were living over here though, right? Or far away?
I was
far
living
enough.
in Tucson. I'd have to commute
a couple hours. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But
how old were you at that point?
I think I was 31.
Oh, dude, I don't know. I would have done it.
Prime
I would have
time,
done it. Yeah.
Dude, you got to remember, I was full-time production.
No, you couldn't have been 31, Mark or Rich, because you're 3 years older than me, and Mark was still
I was
working.
probably 29, maybe.
No, because you were at KRQ when you were 29.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't leave to go to. Mark was gone.
Oh, Mark was gone?
Mark was gone. He was working at KZZP at the time.
Oh, okay. Now this makes more sense. Then you must have been like 33 or 34 is my guess.
Something like that.
I got it.
I don't remember.
No, now I know.
Years
I got
of dates
it. Yeah, now I got it.
But
and KZZP, was that Power up there?
No, that's KISS now.
It's KISS. It's KISS. Okay. KZZP.
Yeah.
Why was Mark Medina such a great programmer?
he was
What made him so good? Makes him so good.
he thought in radio. His thoughts were all radio. At first I didn't like Mark. I couldn't stand him. I thought he was arrogant and egotistical, and I thought he was rude and mean. And when I first met the guy, I could not stand Mark, and Mark knew it because I wanted the afternoon job, the show. I wanted that show for such a long time, and Tim kept stringing me along, saying, "Yeah, it'll be yours." And then he hires Mark. Mark comes in, takes that shift. I'm back to swings. I was so mad, and I hated Mark for it. Then Tim leaves. Mark becomes my boss, and Mark knew I couldn't stand him, and I was talking crap about Mark at the people at the station. That finally got back to him. And when Mark pulled me into his office, he goes, "I can tell you why you didn't get the shift, because you're not good enough." And I thought that was the most arrogant thing anybody could ever say to me. I'm like, really? He goes, "Yeah, you're not ready yet. You need to start thinking about what you really want to do in radio. Listen to what you're doing." He scolded me for about an hour. And he hadn't taken the air yet. And then he finally started doing the show, and I started listening to him, realizing that, holy crap, Mark is awesome on the radio. He's funny. He's fast. I'd never heard him mess up. I mean, he's just a flamethrower. And I was like, holy crap. God, I'm such an idiot. So a month goes by, and he calls me back into his studio, his office, and he gives me this tape. Here's this tape. It's like, it's an air check. It's like, okay. He goes, "I need you to listen to that. Now, listen to what it contains. This is not me bragging. Just listen to the tape." So I go home and I listen. It's air checks from Mark, his shows, and his structure. And I was just blown away how good Mark was. So he had every right to be where he was. And I was humbled by that. And I felt like such an ass after everything that I had said about Mark. Went back in to sit with him. And I said, "Mark, I owe you the biggest apology. I am such a tool." He goes, "I didn't ask you to listen to that to compliment me. I asked you to listen to that for structure. I want you to take that structure and apply it to what you're doing." Okay. And that's when I started doing Mark shows, structured Mark shows, his energy level, his containment. And that's when things changed for me. And then 3 months later, I get called into a studio. He said, "We're going to fire Dave and Anana. I want you to be the producer until I fire them." He ended up firing them that day, though, so there was no producer there.
I don't even remember them. Do you
They were
remember
a
them?
they were a drive time show.
Horrible.
Yeah, they were a drive time show.
Husband and wife show.
Husband and wife. And the dude thought he was cool. He didn't get along with Dub.
He didn't get along with anybody.
He would bag on Dub on the show.
He used to threaten to kick Mark's butt. I saw him do it.
Oh wow.
Anyways, he ended up firing him, and we ended up putting I ended up going back to Swings again, doing that show before they hired Ken Carr.
But at this point, you're a producer
I like Ken.
there now.
Ken Carr's a good dude.
Oh yeah, Ken Carr's a solid jock. He's hilarious on the radio.
We got to get him on here actually too. Yeah.
But right now, so by this point, you're a producer, so you have full-time hours.
Yeah, I'm getting 2 checks, the programming and production. So this is before they consolidate. I was getting 2 paychecks.
I didn't know that. Nice.
So I was making pretty good money.
Nice.
But when I get called in and say, and Ryan Coda, the imaging guy for KRQ at the time,
I remember Ryan.
He's sitting in there with Mark, and I was like, "What is going on here?" And Mark said, "I wanted you to hear this stuff before we do any announcements." I went, "Okay." And they press play, and it's my show intro from Dave Fox. And it's all produced. It's talking about who I am and all my top 8 at 8 stuff. And I was like, holy crap, is this really happening? I've got Dave Fox sweeps with my voice. And Ryan looks at me and goes, "Did you like them?" I went, "What do you mean like them? That's epic."
That's nice.
And Mark goes, "Okay, you can't say anything, but you are our new night guy. And that'll take effect in 2 months. And it'll be announced to the trades and R&R and all the magazines and stuff like that. And you'll go on this is when when you can get trend bonuses, your rating bonuses." He says you'll be put into trends. So if you get your trends rate up there, you get your print bonus, you get paid for it.
Yeah, I worked at Hot
Yeah.
98.3. We didn't get trend bonuses. Oh, but
I got 2 bonuses. But that was I remember sitting in the meeting when they did the 2 weeks later they did the announcement, and they bring Ken Carr in. Ken Carr is in there too, and nobody knew yet that I was going to do nights, but they all knew that I was gunning for a shift, and because I was always there, I was always at work, and they played the intro in the break room or the conference room, and the minute they heard my name with the sweepers, everybody started clapping and cheering. It was one of those surreal moments that you don't think ever is going to happen.
it's the thing. I don't know how you did it so well in corporate, man. You were good with that corporate tap dance. Like that wasn't for me.
I was a dick.
I don't know,
if I could just
man.
mention, wait, on that comment, because that's kind of what I felt like. I was like, Donovan was kind of that standoffish kind of guy. Like,
No, I never felt like that. I felt like Rich Donovan.
But
I felt like Rich Donovan knows how to get along with these people that I do not know how to get along with. And
I
then
just wanted it. I wanted it, and I figured if I'm going to
Yeah.
be an ass to these people, I'm not going to get what I want. So I
wish you would have taught me that, man. I could never learn how to not be an ass to people. But dude, I will say this, man, and Adley can attest to this. Your studio looked like the Millennium Falcon over at KRQ, dude. Your setup was phenomenal.
I did have it decorated the way I thought it should be decorated.
Yeah.
Well, not just decorated like the Millennium Falcon. Like you had so many screens, and you had such
Lights on this,
all brand new equipment.
Wow.
Like it was just like I remember seeing your studio. I was like, that's your personal. Yeah, yep. This is for me.
Yeah.
I just do my work in here.
Nice.
Funny, I found this voice processor in the rack room that nobody was using, and it had these titles in the tracks called Darth Vader and like Robot and Satan, all these program voices. And the minute I saw it, I went, I want that crap in my studio. Can we get this put in my studio? So they installed it. It was in my rack unit. I was so excited, but the Darth Vader didn't really sound like Darth Vader. It was just very breathy and deep. But I still used it in a couple spots and stuff. But what was cool about being full-time at that station is the fact that I actually had I could ask for things, and most of the time I would get them. Like if I needed like a new computer screen or a new computer, I say, hey, my computer's but I need a new computer. They go out and get me a new computer, and no questions asked. If I needed a new phone, I just go get a new phone. So we all had free phones, and that was the best part about working there, was having free phones. And funny story about me and Rick Hunter, my boss, who was the production manager. He was over me. I was a production director.
Oh yeah, Rick Hunter. Yep.
And he's still there, by the way. He's the production manager.
Is he
still there.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I go in to update my cell phone, and Rick sees me leaving, and I have the old black StarTech. I had 2 of them. As a matter of fact, I still have one of those today. I never turned it in.
Dude, Rich Donovan's talking to us about it. Like he's got the iPhone 14. He's like, I got the old black tech. Like, bro, ain't nobody want that phone, man.
I think I have this. I think I still have my first Nokia phone.
It's pretty cool.
How is that cool? What is this? Is there some value in old
No, it's
phones?
just in a box. I just never threw it out.
You're just
It's
telling us you're a
value.
hoarder.
Look,
Adley's also a hoarder. Both of you are hoarders. I know you're
I'm not near as organized as Donovan, though. There's no way.
Adley has U of A articles in his garage, like U of A. You know that newspaper, the Daily Wildcat.
I mean, I've got this here. I mean, I used to record my Ghost Patrol stuff on this mini disc player.
Mini disc, nice.
Oh, nice. You still have your mini disc?
Yep.
Good for you. Did the station buy you that?
I stole this from the station.
Dude, Paco bought me one.
I started using it and never gave it back.
A record rep had got us one, and Paco gave it to me, and I left it in my car. My car got stolen that night.
Oh, nice.
I was so mad.
Well, that was some brand.
Your car didn't get stolen.
Too, man.
You put that in the garage somewhere.
No. Pac would have let me keep it, but it was my car got stolen, and I like alternative rock music, but I worked at the hip hop station. And the guy that stole my car, he stole all my CDs except for like the Offspring and Green Day. Like he left them there. I'm like, I know who was here.
The Chronic.
You remember that was that night at the Rock, Adley, when I had my car running at the Rock, and Malik's supposed to be watching.
I still have a piece of Star Wars stuff that I got from KRQ. It's sitting right here. It's the R2D2 cooler. It's actually an ice chest, and it's right here.
Oh, that's awesome.
I still have it from
Working at-
KRQ.
Working at KRQ was like working at MTV Beach House. Working at Hot 98.3 was like working at a prison that had a radio station in it.
No, it was like working at a family's taco stand with a broke taco truck.
Did you have the homeless guy live behind you when you worked at Hot 98.3?
Dude, we had a field in the back where
Phil.
people would bury bodies. Okay, I mean that was a scary place to have a building. So
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was. Oh my
I've told this story on the show before, but there was a DJ called Tootie. He used to work like weekend overnights and stuff. But anyways, he would hang out with me and Adley all the time, and he had this little like Honda thing that he'd put a muffler on. He tried to make it fast and the nerdiest kind of car, We're going down that El Puente lane, going out towards South Tucson. And it's the middle of the night, dude. Got the brights on. And this freaking zombie came out of the court, like out of the field.
Some tweaker homeless dude or something.
And Tootie just goes, it just goes around him. I'm like, bro, you're just gonna leave that guy there? He's like, do you want to stop? I'm like, good point. So he just kept going.
That road to the studio was a pretty dangerous and very narrow road.
Scary at night.
Like that road could be on
lights,
Narcos,
nothing.
dude. That road could be on the show Narcos. Like, something happened there, dude. Something bad.
Come on, that field. I swear to God, there must have been bodies buried back there. That was a scary field. I mean, you could bury someone back there. No one would care.
If I had a flat tire, bro, I just kept driving till I got on a flat tire till I got to like a main road. I'm like, nope.
I bought this 69 Jeep Wagoneer and it had like this 12-inch lift on his giant truck, dude. Adley talked me into it.
Love that thing.
Yeah, so Adley one day comes to the station. He has the penny saver, right? And I'm like, what are you looking at, dude? And he's like, look at this truck, dude. Only a man could drive this truck. And I'm like, oh, man. He's like, too bad I already got a truck. You don't got a truck. I'm like, I don't have a truck. He's like, look at this truck, man. You don't want that truck? Dude, I had no intentions of buying a truck that morning. For some reason, bro, Adley talked me into buying this truck. So I buy this truck, bro. And then you know how that on the side over there where all the spooky things were, dead people and whatnot, it was just a big mound of dirt, dude. I would just go four-wheeling in that truck over in that big mound of dirt, just boom, 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 up and down. One time I took an artist with me. I don't know why she wanted to ride in my truck. So she came down for like, I don't know, a radio interview, something. I can't remember her name though. She's a one-hit single thing.
It was like a Paula Deanda type or something.
Yeah, she was like a Latina girl.
Yeah.
But and she was from West Covina too. She's from where I'm from. And so when we took them out to lunch, but her sister was her manager, and she was like, I want to ride back with Sketch in my truck. And so she's riding with me, and I'm trying to show off her because she's pretty. I'm driving up on the curb like this, boom, 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 boom. And then my truck got stuck, dude.
Oh, that's great.
You were the man then.
Oh yeah, Paco was so mad.
Oh, dude, that's so embarrassing.
I got it out, dude. Like I had to put it in a 4-wheel drive and stuff, but I didn't know how to do any of that. I didn't even really want the truck, bro. You talked me into it.
I think it was sweet though.
An artist actually, remember the artist of Vitamin C?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Graduation.
The Smile song.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to go out and do some banner hanging because we had her at a concert, and she had just showed up, and she was with a couple of her dancers, and she asked where I was going because I think she was with me and Dub. Me and Dub were in. He was talking to her, and she wanted to go with me to hang banners. So Vitamin C went with me. We were in the van. We ended up stopping at EG's. She wanted something to eat, so we went to EG's, and then we went and hung banners.
Shout out to EG's.
I spent time hanging banners with Vitamin C. She was great. She was a sweetheart. Her dancers were pretty hot too.
How hard did Dub work at hanging up the banners?
Not very.
No,
but anyways, back to
he wasn't a banger.
Banner hanger upper.
No, he likes to do this stuff, dude. He don't like doing this stuff. The shoveling.
I don't think he ever worked for promotions. I don't think that's anything he ever did. We always had promotions people to do that stuff.
Did you go
promotions.
To Nogales? Did you ever go to Nogales, the club?
I did a couple of them. That wasn't my scene.
That was Jeffrey Epstein's scene, bro. I went to Nogales a couple times, man.
That was stuff. Nobody should do that anymore, though.
Yeah, that was not a good place, dude. I went to Nogi. I went to Nogi as a civilian after radio. Because at that point, it's like I can go to a dub thing. I can do it
we went to
wherever I want.
Went to lipsticks over there
Oh
right
man,
across the border.
dude, that place was a powder keg waiting for you to get shot. Like that.
Or you go missing once you leave.
Oh yeah. Can
I
you
mean,
imagine
but
how
how much
many
fun was it?
cartels?
It was a lot of
It
fun.
was fun. It was fun. But how many cartel members were there at
Me and
Dub's
Rick used to go
things?
there once every other week. We would go to lipsticks, and then the one that what's his name Beto owned. Beto owned the other place.
Who's Beto from?
Turtles or something. I know the
Yeah,
place
the one
you're
on the
talking
other
about.
side.
Yeah.
You had lipsticks on this side, and then on the other
Yep.
side of the tracks, you had this other place where
I know I
Dub
know
used
the
to do
spot.
all of his remote
And that's
from.
that's where Dub would be. Dude, and
So,
there'd be like 15-year-old kids in there climbing up the wall to get into the club because they didn't have $3 or whatever it was to pay.
Oh, it's like Dub said one time there were so many people in there that the floor was bent in the middle.
Oh yeah. I could totally see that. GIs coming over. Like, dude, it was just an absolute mess. It was like the most dangerous place. Every time you go to Nogi and like get involved in this type of stuff, it was always like, dude, it's like the movie Taken.
I'm just surprised no one died during that time.
Seriously. Yeah, there was
Yeah,
But Adley, you used to go with them to those Mexican whatever Rocky Point thingamajigs. Did you used to go with them, Rich?
No, never went.
Yeah, R-Dub's big ass bus to Rocky Point.
Never went. I
Never
wasn't.
went.
I wasn't a
went to
fan.
one or
I
two.
thought those were dangerous.
Looking
the
back,
clubs were not
yes.
dangerous. Lipsticks was not dangerous. That's what you're telling us.
No, I think. I think it's dangerous right
Raiders
now for
Reef was
anybody.
not dangerous.
No.
Yeah, that's true. Dude,
If you had somebody sit on your
oh.
lap, it's dangerous. All right.
be honest with yourself. When you were in Nogi at those clubs, there had to have been cartel members now. Now that you've seen Narcos, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Now I see.
They're owned by the cartels.
Yeah,
Come
but
on.
dude, think about this. Think about all those scenes you've seen where the guy just runs and starts shooting, like before anybody knows what's up. Think how many times that could have been one of us. We're not built like that.
Crazy stuff.
Mike, did
I
I tell you
think-
the story when we went and it was my cousin from Texas. We went out there and Dub got us in free, got us kind of the VIP section, and it was a foam party, and it was the second floor, right? It was upstairs, and there was a foam party, and we just see that one girl. She's all thrown up, like "Whoa," like all over the place. We're just thinking, oh, that's so nasty in the foam. And then she turns around and she starts making out with some dude, and I'm just like, oh, this is so bad, dude. Yeah, hopefully there's bleach in that foam, dude, because it was nasty, dude. It was gross, disgusting. But
That's it.
they
It was
had
never my
fun,
scene.
man. It was pretty wild. I mean,
it was never
fun.
my scene. I mean, I was married to a woman who was a general manager of a strip club. So
That's the
I didn't-
next thing. Hold on
I
a
didn't
sec.
need. I didn't need to go to that.
You were a Boy Scout your whole life, and then you end up marrying a stripper. How does this
Well,
work?
She wasn't a stripper before that. She actually worked at
I said the same
Sears.
thing. That's what I said. I
worked
said
at
the same
Sears.
thing. Yeah. I
Nope,
didn't know she
true
was a
story.
stripper when I met her.
No, she wasn't. She worked at Sears. She worked at Sears. I'd met her at Sears.
But Rich,
when I
that
first met
didn't
her.
bother you that your wife was a stripper?
No,
Why not? That would
She was
bother the
coming-
crap out of me.
she was coming home to me.
Is that your
But-
was that
That's
your
the
attitude,
Usher song
Adley?
too, isn't it? Isn't that Usher song?
She became home. She
Yeah.
became the general manager of the place, and she stopped dancing.
Which club was this?
The candy store.
It was the one. It was
I don't know
it
if I
was like
remember
the
that
Used to be
nicer
Temptations.
version.
It was
It
Temptations.
was the
Oh.
nicer
Speedway?
version of
on
of
22nd
the
and
boat.
Craycroft.
It was like
Oh.
in between the boat and
They had some nice
Curves.
looking women.
You see where I'm going?
Okay,
It
okay.
was in the middle.
Um,
yeah,
It
Just put it
wasn't
this way,
TV's good.
everybody knew my wife worked there. Always wanted to go there because they thought that since my wife worked there, that I had connections. And when she became the general manager, of course that changed. I also was bouncing there on part time. I would bounce when she would work. When she
And
became
you-
boss,
You got Obi a job there too.
yes, I did.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan
Obi-
Kenobi.
Yeah, Obi was like.
What
Obi
was his real
broke.
name?
That
James.
is his real name. He changed
James.
his
He
name.
did
Well, I
change
mean,
it.
officially it was that, but what was it
Actually, me and
before
him
he
worked
changed it?
together right after the change. Me and him both were promotions, and we did the Y2K bug. Me and him were on the promotions team
Oh, really?
together.
Oh, that's crazy.
That a
Obi,
very
man.
long time
Oh,
ago.
man. Yeah, I remember him. He DJ'd at the teen night, one of the teen clubs.
Apparently, he's gotten pretty good. Apparently, pretty good DJ.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. That's cool.
But he actually was pretty good in the production room too. He used to come in and watch me, and then he started picking up some stuff, and he got pretty good. So,
dude, we're gonna need a Donovan part 2.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna
well, because I just want to say this. I just want to say this, and then we'll get into the news. Like I never really thought about you guys knowing that we were people over at KRQ. And then I remember, well, two things real quick. And then I remember when I went over to KRQ, I met the new guy, Ryan, and he came over to me and he goes, "Hey, a hooligan called Sketch." And I was like, "You've heard my name before?" I was like, you've heard of me? Like I was like blown away that anybody had heard of me in the place.
You want to learn something from somebody. Learning something from the new guy would be the person you learn from. He's the master at anything in the production room. If it wasn't for him,
he was a good producer.
He still is. Yeah. If it wasn't for him, I would have never learned how to beat mix or do any of that stuff. He taught me all of that.
That's right.
So,
he was dope.
No, he was a good producer.
He was actually pretty funny on the air too. He wasn't bad.
No, he wasn't bad.
He was. I went with the new guy. So
he wasn't bad. He was funny, and he was a good producer. I'll say this, Rich. I really do. When I tell you how good of a producer you are, I'm not just being a silly or whatever. Like I don't compliment people. I only just say things. It's how Asian people are.
Oh.
So don't get fat. But anyways, I always respected your production, but the new guy, dude, Ryan, he was a good producer. And then when I was over there and I recognized that he saw me as a producer, I was like, man, I'd done some stuff in the production room. Like I felt proud of myself. And to be totally honest with you, our new intro, I was like, I want Rich Donovan to see something super dope that I can produce because I want to impress Rich Donovan. But then last week we had this dude and he had really good production on his video. So I was like, nah, bro, we got to play it before Rich gets on. I was going to save it till you came on.
You guys can make me a show intro from my show if you want.
Oh, dude, I got you, bro.
Mike's the expert on that, dude.
Yeah,
Definitely
I got you.
expert on that, dude.
And if you guys want to be guest DJs on my show to do your favorite forgotten hit of yesterday,
we would love to.
It's all audio, so there's no video involved. So all you got to do is talk about your favorite song, what about it is, why you want it, and this is your feature. You know, just you talking it up, and then you ramp to the song. Here's the song that I picked. Then you can do an outro. So intro and an outro.
Dude,
who you are,
okay. Little 10-minute thing.
Your podcast, because Dub has done one for me. Ronnie Phillips, Shotgun, he's done one for me. Old school Jewel has done several.
I don't have any audio production tools anymore. I only have video production tools. I guess I could cut it up like a video and then just take the video out.
You could pull the audio. Yeah, if you
just
StreamYard, record on StreamYard, you could send them the audio. Rip that.
That's crazy. Obviously, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to any of my shows that are posted.
I've only followed you on TikTok so far.
I have a new show that's playing tomorrow at 11, 1985, the top 10 from 1985. So,
okay.
All right, so now let's because I want to get to where we are, or else we're going to talk about the 90s forever. All right, yeah, so they were a great time, though. I ain't going to lie to you. So smash cut to we're all grown-ups now. Me and Adelaide start the Chino Brothers about a year and a half ago. I think we got 9,600 followers on YouTube at this point. Got about 3,000 on TikTok. Facebook, yeah, we're still whack. We're like, I don't know, a couple hundred. But like, I feel like old radio guys, if we kind of like, because there's a dude we know called Jazz McKay, and he's a really good radio guy. And I feel like if we supported each other, like through social and bringing each other on each other's content, we could do the same type of thing that Rogan did. I could be wrong, but it seems like that would be the way to do it, is to network with people who are already doing stuff like we're doing stuff. But
I just feel that there are so many shows out there like that. It's hard to find a decent show to listen to or watch because there's so many. Have you gone onto the other podcast platforms and there are thousands of shows?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I used to do a podcast, but I stopped doing them because it just seemed useless because there was too many of them.
Well, I always cut up our
Yeah.
shows and then put them up on TikTok.
well, that's
And
why.
then, like, we get
That's
decent
why I
numbers.
just do a regular radio show now. It's like I love the top 40 countdown shows.
Now, how
so
do
I
you?
structure my shows like that?
Let's talk about internet radio because I don't know anything about it. And Adelaide, do you know anything about it?
Not really.
Like we've had people on the
Yeah.
show who've done internet radio, and we're like, "Whoa!" But we don't know what it means. So can you explain to us, like, how'd you get involved? Like, is there a company behind it? What is this? How does this work?
I work with my partner Todd, who's been in radio for about almost as long as I have. So he's got his roots in real radio, but he's been disenfranchised by the real thing because real radio is not real radio anymore.
No,
it's
it sucks. It's
A lot
horrible.
different.
Garbage.
Yeah, it's not the same. So, he created his online platform, coolfmonline.com.
Oh wait,
And-
sorry. Let me say this real quick because I really want to hear the story. Everything's garbage except for Groove 99.3, Bakerfield, home of old school hip hop and R&B. Listen to Danny P and Adelaide in the evenings. All right, go ahead. Sorry about that, Rich.
It's all right. I'm on 7 days a week, so you
Okay.
for 3 hours a day.
Don't worry, we got you.
So yeah, at first he came online when I was still working in Sierra Vista, and I kind of thought he was a little bit annoying because he was everywhere. Every time I saw him, he was always somewhere we were. At first I thought he was a bit annoying. I was like, who is this guy, man? What's his deal? But I also started realizing his consistency and his drive. It's hard to find people like that. And I didn't want to listen to his stuff because I was afraid if I listened to it, I might not, like what I hear or like get pissed. So, and he's got a production background too. So, I remember that Jim Blair, who was a sales guy there, he's friends with Todd, and Todd produced a commercial for him, and we were running it on K101, and we played it. It's like, who did this commercial? And he goes, Todd, the guy that owns Cool FM. And I went, oh, okay. So I was like, I'm like, wow. So this guy's got some skills. Okay. So he's producing this stuff. Anyways, fast forward. I start realizing that Todd's got, he's got the same kind of dream I have where real radio is dying. And Todd had made a comment on one of my posts on my Facebook page saying that he liked my imaging. He says, I love your creative imaging. You have, your style is very, you could tell it's yours. When you hear it, you did it. It's like, oh, okay, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but thank you. So I ended up calling him, and I talked to him for a few minutes, and I told him, hey, I think, your Cool FM has got promise. So keep pushing at it. I think you've got some promise. After that was it. Then I had announced I was getting ready to leave K101. I remember telling Val, my co-host, and she's also my best friend. I told her a week before I was going to leave. I says, I'm going to hand in my resignation. I can't work at this crap box anymore. I can't be here anymore. She was all bummed out, and it was hard for her not to say anything. And I ended up telling Todd a few days before I was going to leave that, I put in my resignation. He's like, hey, we should meet up. It's like, oh, okay. And he wanted to do an interview with me at the last day I worked at K101 and pick my brain about why I was leaving, because he wanted to get some dirt on K101.
No.
And they were scared. People at K101 were afraid that I was going to talk crap about them. And they should have, because they're a bunch of morons working over the management team over there. They're just a bunch of idiots. And I knew they were going to soft fire me once I put in my resignation, because they don't want you there. After you put your resignation in, they think you're going to do something.
Pretty standard,
So they soft fire you. They say, you know what? You don't need to come in. You can go ahead.
It's scary on the radio because you got live radio and you got some crazy guy with a gun or whatever. Like you hear stories about it all the time.
So I knew that they were going to soft fire me. And of course, they don't look at it that way. He called me in the office, and they were saying, so did we do something to upset you to quit? So they were trying to figure out if they had done something that might come back to bite them. So I thought that was kind of funny that they were using that. They were saying, hey, what did I do? What did we do? I didn't say anything. I said, I just can't work for this company anymore. I mean, they only care about management. They don't care about programming or production. You guys took money away from me twice, never gave it back. How am I supposed to think that means like I don't matter? Like you don't like the work I'm doing. That's not it at all. It's like, whatever. It's like, you got my resignation. Oh, by the way, the consultant, his name is Mark. The consultant, he says, if you need help, feel free to call him. He wants you to call him. I don't want to talk to him. I don't need to talk to a consultant. Why do I want to talk to a consultant? Consultants, paid idiots.
I pretended to be a consultant for Adley last week. I was helping him out with a problem he's having at work. I was like, just hire me as a consultant. I'll come down and say some words.
Consultants, I think, is the biggest con job ever.
Dee always wanted to be a consultant. Dee Cortez, she was always like, you know what, I'm going to be in my 40s. I was like, what's that? She's like, a consultant. I'm
it's
like,
a paid gig you can walk away from with no responsibility.
I know.
Like, what do they do?
And you could structure radio the way you think it should be done and say, this is real radio. My way. It's ridiculous. And consultants are the worst. I think they are the worst. They have the biggest egos.
You're singing my song, baby. I 100% agree with you. Now let's start making fun of the guy that owned the Metro, Stevie. I hated that dude as well, even when it was the Outback. That guy's a sucker. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you, man. Like, I don't understand the idea of a consultant. Like, because here's the problem. It's like, look, we already have an imaging guy. If you got a good radio station and you got a couple guys that can do imaging like you two could do, because I could produce. Imaging's not my thing because I have a ghetto mentality because I grew up in the ghetto and I don't want to have a ghetto mentality. I just can't see things through Huey Lewis's eyes. But you can, Rich Donovan.
Oh, I can. I didn't know I was a Huey Lewis fan.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you. Here's the thing. I always said this, and I still say it to this day when people talk to me about production. I say, dude, if you listen to Rich, and I told you this the other night, if you listen to Rich Donovan's commercials, they make you feel like you're at the mall. If you listen to Sketch of Producers commercials, they make you feel like you're at the swap meet. Like they both have a reason to be there, I guess. But yours always sounded. The imaging was amazing.
Okay, creative imaging is a personality. You're creating something from a personality, and then that personality targets the direction of the station. So in actuality, it's the imaging that creates the attitude of the radio station. So if anybody should have an attitude, it should be the creative service director because it's his signature all over the station. And granted, I enjoy that part of the job, but
here comes a consultant. Now here comes a consultant.
Doing commercial production and commercial imaging are two separate things completely. If you're doing commercial production, you're doing it for the clients.
Yep.
You're doing it for them. But when you're doing creative station imaging and you don't have anybody to answer to, because I never did, no one told me this is what we want the station to sound like. No one ever told me. I just did it. And they had no complaints.
I understand, but it sounded like Casey Kasem when you did it, where mine sounded like Don Cornelius. Like so like
you're saying the voice work that I've done.
No. I'm saying like it was so clean. It was always so.
It was a compliment.
Clean.
Definitely a compliment.
All like your work has always been so clean, and you've always been able to see through the eyes of the top 40 consumer. Like you really know how to do that. I've never been able to figure that out. I've always been like one of the Beastie Boys, like I can't figure out how to, like, I can never figure out how to do the mainstream thing. Like, how to do it.
It's just listening. It's just listening. I grew up listening to music in the 80s, listening to 80s and 70s imaging and stuff like that. And that's where it came from. And I just evolved and I still use elements from every bit of that stuff from the 80s and 90s in today's production. You may not hear it, but it's there. So
hey Donovan, I do have to confess, I did use your studio after hours at KRQ over at Clear Channel.
I started locking my door, by the way.
Yeah, I think you said it was cool. You're like, hey, just let me know if you're going to use it, and I didn't do a lot in there.
But then he was looking at porn on your computer, Rich. That's what happened.
Sorry, it crashed a couple times, but I wasn't going to do it on my computer. No, I'm just kidding. But no, dude. But you introduced me to that Saw Pro. Oh my god,
I have it on this computer here.
Ooh, the multi-level, editing and stuff too. Because me and Mike came from at Hot was Gold Wave, the
That
single
Gold
track,
Wave.
and it was just, I mean,
Boo.
it
Yeah, I
was
have
bad,
Adobe
but-
Studio, Saw Pro. I've got my Diamond package. I've got everything that I had at KRQ. I have here. So
That's awesome.
Dude,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have everything that we had at Hot on my tablet. Like, yeah, like so all the production you see us do, it's all off of a Sam. It's a pretty powerful tablet, but it's just a Samsung tablet.
yeah, you
And I'll
don't
just
need
spend
much.
all day. It's insane. Like
Yeah.
these Shure mics that me and Adelaide just got. Like these are our season 5 mics. These are the same mics that Joe Rogan uses, and they weren't that expensive. Like things are really coming down if you want to do it like your DIY type of thing. But you were telling me you were thinking about buying a radio station. Is that a hush hush thing, or can you talk about it?
No, we were in the process of buying a station, then it got taken from us because someone
Oh.
outbid us on it. We had 3 investors,
It
and
was
then one
Why
of our
would you buy a radio station at this point in time, or is this a
Well-
long time ago?
No, this is
No, no,
currently.
no. And right now, Todd is the owner of the new station. Likes the way cool sounds. He likes the way the images. Plus, for an online radio station, the revenue that Todd brings in for an online radio station is putting real radio stations, celestial radio stations, to shame.
Well,
The-
yeah, celestial radio stations don't make very much money anymore.
Not
That's the
anymore.
thing.
And,
Like,
and,
dude.
and Todd is proof that you can live off of what he's doing.
All right, so
That's
I
cool.
want to learn about internet radio here in 1 second, but I'll say this first. Ernie is working at the old school hip hop station in
I
Tucson
remember.
still, Earn Dollars, and he told me what they brought in because he's a salesman there as well. One of my shops does better than that radio station.
Yeah,
One of my
radio-
vape shops does better than the radio station.
Yeah, there's too many. Nobody listens to real radio anymore. I mean, nobody listens to it in their car. If anything, they're listening to Pandora, Spotify. They're listening to these music platforms. And they buy a subscription so they don't have to listen to commercials. So
Yeah.
you do have the old school people that want to listen to local banter, local disc jockeys. But the problem is there are
There's
no
none
more
left.
local disc jockeys.
Yeah.
Everything is
There's
canned.
none left.
A lot
Yeah.
of stuff piped in, dude. Yeah.
So
I feel like if you had like, man, even I'm trying to think what the format would be though. Because if you had live DJs and it's like, nah, bro, this is your shift. And if you don't like it, you're not working in radio. Well, I'm gonna be a YouTuber anyways. Good, you're not going to be. Go away. You know what I mean? And then you could pull 30,000 listeners and point them to your social. Then you could make the revenue off the social. But explain to us what this internet
Todd
radio
has
thing
done.
is.
What Todd has done is actually truly amazing when it comes to the financial aspect of what he makes with online radio, with the Facebook platform. His Facebook is just over the top. The amount of subscribers, when he puts up a post, automatic, 600 views, 600 likes, shares. He has completely changed I mean, he gets more views than the local radio stations, period. Their Facebook social media. He
right,
walks
tell us-
all over them.
All right, tell us how it starts and how it works, and tell us who Todd is and all this stuff. Explain this to us.
Well, I told you he's the one that owns Cool FM.
Okay.
And I don't know when he decided to do it. I just know that he was disenfranchised by Real Radio, and he said, I'm tired of it. He tried to apply at K101. Grady gave him the walk around. It's like, yeah, well, whatever. Never hired him. I'm glad they didn't hire him because he would have hated it. So Todd called me after I had moved up here to California, and he said, I don't know if you're interested, but I wanted to know if you wouldn't mind maybe doing a show for us, maybe doing whatever you want. It doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what type of music. He says, I love the way you sounded on the radio. I just want you to bring what you did there. I want you to do it here. Plus, how about doing the imaging for us? So he paid me for that. I did all the imaging. I took Rick's voice that was using on K101. We were using Rick on K101, and I ended up putting it on Cool, which pissed off the people over at K101. And I didn't care. I didn't care. We did it immediately within a week. I had a full line of creative imaging sweeps, and Grady was so bent out of shape. Pull all the sweeps. Pull all the sweeps. We don't need him. Of course, they couldn't do it because now they don't have an imaging guy.
Yeah, now well, they don't have any sweeps now
No,
because
now
they
they got
don't even have a producer.
They have Phantom Producer now, which is it's the dumb man's imaging machine. It's a tool that produces imaging for you.
What's that
It's
gonna
a-
sound like?
It's called Phantom Producer.
Is it like AI type stuff or what?
No, it's a platform, and like in one bracket they have like the call letters. You send them. If you have a
It's
voice
just
guy,
generic garbage.
they produce it all. It's all shelled.
Yeah,
and
it's-
you can put them in
Oh,
shells.
gotcha.
And it's
gotcha.
it's super expensive. The trade or the barter system there is completely out of bounds. I mean, it's crazy how much they charge. But that's what they're using, and they're using somebody else's voice now. And don't get me wrong, I love the guy who voices the stuff. His voice is just not made for today's radio.
It's just all garbage, Rich.
It is.
You could just say it like there's, dude. Here's the thing.
My beat mixes are 10 times better than the Phantom beat mixes. So,
all right. So how does it like? So you have your studio at home. I'm assuming that you just like it. Do you pre-record or you upload? Or you're going live? How does it work?
No, I record my show here,
Okay.
and then I put it together, and then I send it in. I upload it, and then it runs like it's running tomorrow. I've got over 300 shows that are in the can.
Where do we find this?
I put up a link on my wall, so you can go in. It's coolfmonline.com. Just click on it.
On your social.
okay.
Do you have it linked to your social?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm listening.
And then they have, if you want, you can go to past shows, and then you can link on that, and it'll take you to a page that has the past shows on it. But it's always they stream shows every day, 3 hours every day.
Format? Explain us what's the format.
My format shows, it obviously is in the title, Forgotten Hits of Yesterday. It's like a greatest hit show that revolves anywhere from the late 70s into the 80s, but it's all structured like a countdown show. And it's informative, but not too much info, not to overload. It's radio that I wanted to do a long time ago, and I do it in a delivery style like a professional countdown show. Like right now I'm doing.
Kasem.
Well, I'm not. I wasn't a huge Casey Kasem fan. I never
Really.
have
I
been.
thought he did a great job.
Rick Dees all the way.
Rick Dees did a great job too.
Yeah.
Shadow Stevens wasn't bad either. I wasn't
No.
mad at Shadow Stevens.
Rockin' America Countdown.
Yeah.
But that's what I do. Sometimes the shows are niche shows like artists that dated each other, one-hit wonders.
I like this.
Songs that have the word death in it, or two-hit wonders. Songs that you've never heard of before. Formats you didn't know existed. Stuff like that.
You know what this reminds me of? Your show. Did you guys ever watch Northern Exposure?
I knew about it. I didn't watch it.
Oh man, there was a character on there called Chris, and he was their local DJ, and he would do like what Rich Donovan's talking about right now, where he was in complete control, and he would just do these experimental, neat type of things like Rich talking about.
And that's what's fun about it, because each show is different. But I'm trying to do the consistent with Fridays now, the countdown shows. The top 10 from 1980, and I'm going to go all the way up till last year. So that's what those are. They got the countdown numbers in them. It's all imaged like a countdown show.
So how does he get, like, is he just really internet savvy, or is he buying ads, or is he like, how is he?
It's his own platform. He
owns
it.
How did he get his platform so big? That's what I'm wondering.
He's really good at marketing.
Yeah.
He's amazing at it. I mean, he's making maybe 8-9 grand, maybe 10 grand a month.
That's good. Yeah.
And he's got enough to pay, his people. He's probably making more than that. I'm just spitballing. He pays me, so I get money from him. And it just shows up in my bank.
Wow, that's
sometimes
nice.
he doesn't tell me when he sends it. It just shows up. the thing about Todd is he's never told me what to do or what not to do. We both kind of think the same way when it comes to radio. Like he had a guy doing local weather, and to be perfectly honest, I think if you do weather, you should do it a specific way.
Yeah.
And there are
There's a
words that
cadence.
you don't need to be saying. Like you don't have to say degrees or anything like that. People know what you're talking about. If you're going to say a website, you don't have to say the 3 W's in front of it. I have sticklers that don't say, how y'all doing or how's everybody doing. I hate comments like that. Don't say y'all or how are you all doing or say how's Tucson doing. It's it's small things. If you're talking to one person, you're not talking to an entire city. One guy. All right. Don't say www. Stop with that. So me and him, I call him and say, hey, dude, this guy is just. Can we fix this? It's some of the things he says just kind of rub me the wrong way. Tell him to stop saying this. And he goes, because I was thinking the same thing. I got it covered. Don't worry. And he fixes it. He fixes it immediately. So we both think the same way. But unfortunately, when you're doing internet radio, you can't always hire, the people that you really want. These people want to do radio. They're just not professionals. So we can't expect everybody to do grade A work.
But aren't there enough professionals that are on the beach at this stage?
Well, there are, but they also want to be paid well too. So
really, nobody wants to light themselves up. Like, holler at the Chino brothers if you need a project done. Don't worry about it, homeboy. We got you. I promise you that. All we need is a little. If you
want to do a show, Todd's always willing to have you guys do a show.
I mean, we might holler at Todd here in a minute, bro. I don't know about that ad lib.
Dude, I guarantee he wouldn't mind carrying one of your shows. But if you wanted to do it radio-wise, do a radio version of your show. I'm sure he'd love to talk about it.
Well, why don't we talk about that in the green room? But right now, Rich Donovan, what we like to do is end the show with a little bit of news. And back in the day, Vicky Valle used to read the news, but today Adlai reads us the news, and me and you are going to clown on it. But since you're the guest, you get to choose which news story we're going to talk about.
Oh, for God's sake.
It's nothing too well. There might be a crazy one in here, but the first one I'll read the title, the headline, and then Rich, you let us know if you want to do that story or not. I want to talk about the 2023 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees. That list came out. This is an artist that I remember. Bubba Sparks admits to selling out with Miss New Booty. So it's kind of an old school.
Why is
guy.
he even in the news?
I don't know, dude, but I like that song.
Miss New Booty's a great song, but he feels like he's sold out.
Come on, Bubba Sparks. Come on.
Okay.
He can go back into the Bubba trash bin. No one cares.
Hey, dude, I think him and Jelly Roll kick it like that.
We might have to do that. And then this is another story. This is my crazy story. Mary Magdalene. She's a model. She has 38J implants.
Her name is Mary Magdalene?
Yeah,
one of
the
another
implants
Madonna?
burst.
One of her implants burst. Did her head explode too?
Yeah, sorry, we're clowning before this story's being read.
And there's here's kind of a serious, it could get serious, but migrants protest the move from a midtown hotel, and they have to go to a barrack style shelter, and they're all pissed and they protest about it.
Because they're trashing the hotels.
And
they're trashing the hotels. They hate the food that they're being provided.
All right, which story are we picking, Rich? Are you gonna pick the illegal alien one? Apparently,
doesn't matter. You do whatever
migrants,
you want to do.
Bubba Sparks, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees.
Well, the guest gets to pick.
Yeah, or the implant that burst.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees. Do you remember last year when we did it and I just went off because I'd never heard of any of them? I made it into a midday getaway. All right, you want to do which one you want to do, Rich? Come on, you get to pick. Nominees. All right, let's go for it. I love this.
Based.
I love these stories.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So this is from NPR, and yesterday morning brought the announcement of the 2023 nominations for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, among the first timers in this year's class of potential inductees are Sheryl Crow, Joy Division / New Order, Cyndi Lauper, George Michael, Willie Nelson, Warren Zevon, Missy Elliott, and the White Stripes.
Okay.
And let's see, here's the complete list.
Missy Elliott is being nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, Missy Elliott is also in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a writer too. Is
how many hits does she have?
She's actually not a bad writer. She's a great producer.
Yeah, but I don't think she has that many hits.
But she's behind the scenes. She's like Timberland. She's been
okay.
producing. She's a great producer, so she deserves
1 Minute Man.
She's a look. Some of her hits may be, on the edge, but you got to admit, there's nobody like Missy.
Really?
Nobody.
Wow, you have that kind of respect for Missy
for
Elliott,
Missy.
huh? Good for you. I'm the opposite on Missy Elliott.
No,
I think she's a one-hit wonder. But
I
I
like
do
her
like that
flavor. She's like a
commercial.
Busta Rhymes, and she's had one or two big hits, but when you hear her, you got to listen to her all the way through.
Yeah, you know what?
It's good stuff.
And also remember, Rich is a top 40 guy, so he's going to give her a little bit of a pass for selling out like that. But
I don't consider
can't-
being popular and successful sellouts.
I
being
can't-
a sellout.
I can't help but dance when I hear that. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun, dun,
Rain.
dun, dun, dun. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of
Get your
stuck
freak
on.
on.
That,
Get your freak on.
that is a good song.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Work it.
Rich. I'm
Here
torn
comes
because I
the
still
rain,
don't
or
like
when it
her.
rains, or when
Yeah, the rain. I can't
rain.
stand the rain.
Yeah, I featured
Lose
that one.
control. Music makes me lose control.
Music make me lose
But
control.
she's produced and written for quite a few artists. So
Yeah.
she's done a lot more behind the scenes than she has up front.
Missy
So-
Misdemeanor Elliott.
Here's an example of an artist that has written songs for other artists and is just as successful as the other artists. Shaka Khan.
This sucks, dude. You are very pragmatic.
Shaka Khan and I Feel For You.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you know who that song is written by?
No.
Prince wrote the song. He wrote
That
the
sounds
song
like something Prince
and he
would
put
write,
on
yeah.
his very first album in 1979, as well as Nothing Compares to You. That was also
Nothing
on his
compares.
first.
I remember that too.
Yeah,
That's
okay?
great.
He
wrote
He
that
wrote
too.
those two songs, but when the secondary artist was approved to use those songs, they were massive hits, and he had no
Yes.
idea that Prince wrote them.
Yeah, but how come Prince's songs always sounded like he was trying to play a video game, and those songs sound like they're current? You know what I mean? Like when you listen to
because Prince
Erotic
has
City, it's like
Well,
beep,
because
beep,
that's
beep, beep, beep.
that's Prince's
A lot of
his
80s
style,
synthesizer
his
type.
flavor.
Yeah.
You got to remember, he played every instrument on his albums.
Yeah, that's
he
true.
He was
This
the
is amazing.
sole. He was the sole instrumentalist on those albums. People
I
don't
know he
realize
should
that.
be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not Missy Elliott. Who are all the other bums on this list, Adley?
Well, this is okay. Willie Nelson.
All right, now I want to just read it out as it's printed because I already know
Not a
for
Willie
sure.
fan.
I'm already gonna know for sure that me and Rich aren't gonna know who these people are. So go ahead.
I feel like you guys are going to know most of these actually. Willie Nelson,
All
Kate
right.
Bush, Missy Elliott, George
Okay.
Michael, Sheryl Crow,
Okay.
Tribe Called Quest.
Wow.
It's not the first time they've been nominated.
One of our Dub's favorite rap groups.
Great. Yeah, great group.
I'm gonna
Iron
stop
Maiden.
listening to him now.
Iron Maiden. Not the
Alright.
first time. If I didn't mention them before, they've been nominated more than once. And then Cyndi Lauper, New Order, Rage Against the Machine,
Wow.
Soundgarden, The Spinners,
Ah, there's the dud.
and then the White Stripes, Warren Zevon. I don't know who.
I don't know who
Warren
that
Zevon
is.
Warren
Yeah.
That's one I
Zevon.
don't know.
You know who that is,
Zevon.
Rich?
Warren Zevon. He did the song "Werewolf in London."
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Dun, dun,
He's a-
dun,
yeah, Garrett,
dun,
he should get in
dun,
there.
dun, dun,
Uh,
great
Yep.
song.
He died.
Werewolves of
He
London.
died about. I think he died in 2011.
Oh, so
so-
a few years back even.
Yeah.
That's one of those songs. If you made a movie, you'd want to walk into a bar while it was playing in the background. You know what I mean? But you got a gun tucked in your pants. Blum, 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 and you're gonna shoot the bad guy, dude. That's the song I want playing in the background because he's got that smooth rap in that song.
Yeah.
Man, I'm going down in London.
Do you know what the very first rap song was on the radio?
It was that Blondie song you're gonna tell me,
Yes.
aren't you? Yeah,
Rapture.
yeah. You
Rapture.
told me
Yeah,
that.
that's good.
You told me that back in 1997 or something, Rich.
Yeah,
you
it's
schooled
true.
me on that back then.
But it is true. Fab Five
It's
Freddy.
true. People don't. Yeah. So I made someone very upset one day because he tried to tell me that "Rapper's Delight" was the very first rap song. I went, no, you were mistaken. The very first radio rap song was a song called "Rapture." And granted, the rap that Blondie did in it didn't rhyme very well. She still rapped half the song.
I'm not
It was
lying.
all-
You
yeah, it
were
was a
the
lot
one
of
that
the
taught
song.
me that. You were the one that taught me that trivia question in 1997.
Anybody
I
in radio
feel
should
like-
know that. should know
But I
what the
feel
very
like
first
you
rap
were
song.
arguing with somebody about it,
Yeah, I think I was. I think it was.
and
think
I was like, "Oh, there was a rap song before Rapper's Delight." Well,
even if
I
you
guess I'll
Google
hear
it, it'll
about
say the very first rap song, Blondie Rapture, and it's the song conveniently is called Rapture.
Well, we got ripped off on this list because usually when Adelaide reads these nominees, I've never heard of any of them.
Well, what about this though? I gotta ask you guys this: Kate Bush, "Running Up That Hill." What's another song? And she's
Nah,
she's
yeah,
big
Kate
on
Bush,
Stranger
whatever.
Things, right? So you're kind of like,
Kate Bush is an alternate, more of an alternative adult
Alternative
contemporary
rock.
artist.
Yeah.
and even "Running Up That Hill" when it first came out, what did it crack the top 10?
No, it's more of a composition. One of those fly by night hits, but she's more of a one hit wonder than anything.
Yeah, she don't belong in the Rock and Roll
okay.
Hall of Fame.
So
I think they're maybe doing it from a musical standpoint, not necessarily a hit standpoint.
Have you ever been there
Yeah.
before, Rich Donovan? The Rock and Roll
What?
Hall of Fame? The Rock and
Have
Roll Hall
I?
of Fame?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's only 2 hours from here, from Pittsburgh. So we
Nice.
actually went to Cleveland a month and a half ago or something. And we stopped by there, but we didn't go in.
What about and the weird part I'm looking at is the rock groups. Do they care? Like Iron Maiden,
These are real rock
Rage
groups.
Against the Machine,
Yeah,
the
these
White
groups-
Stripes.
These are the groups
They're-
that really played rock back then.
But it was real rock groups. But do
Yeah.
they care if they get in? Are they gonna be like, yay? Or are they gonna be like,
I don't
Come
know,
on,
man.
I think half the members of Iron Maiden are dead for crying
Yeah,
out loud.
I know.
that's from back in the day. And even
I
Rage.
can't believe Iron Maiden got in after like NWA. Like that's not.
They have to
I
be
feel like they
nominated. So
should've got
somebody
in.
nominated them to be. You have to
And
be
you
nominated
vote too, right? Now that
Yeah.
the list is out, people can't actually vote who should go in.
I mean,
We should all vote.
Dolly
I'll vote
Parton,
for that. Yeah,
Wasn't
that was
Dolly
last year. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dolly
didn't
Parton,
she-
everybody voted her in, right?
she deserves to be there. She's not only a phenomenal songwriter. She's been doing music for what 150 years, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and she did the Whitney Houston song too, right? I'll always love you.
Yeah,
well, that
she
was her
wrote that
song.
song, yeah, she
that was
wrote
her
that
song.
song.
She performed it first.
She actually performed. Yeah, okay. And then
Yeah.
George Michael.
George
Yeah,
Michael is
I
still a
don't know.
phenomenal talent.
Yeah,
He's
he
still
should get in.
You know,
I think he should get in.
Father
when you think-
Figure is the jam, bro. You
Well,
can't get away without that song, dude.
Yeah,
you know, when you think of him, leaving his partner in Wham before Wham even had a chance to spread its wings for a second album, he blew up after Careless Whisper and said, "Hey, I'm leaving this
Yeah.
dude. I am now just George Michael." And people started selling George Michael as George Michael and not Wham. So that's how Wham disbanded, because Wham wasn't selling records anymore. George Michael was.
Yeah, but
So-
who's the other dude in Wham, bro? I never heard of that cat.
Tell you his name. I have
Andrew.
no idea.
His name is Andrew.
Andrew.
I won't remember that next time.
George
I
and
see him.
Andrew.
But yeah, no Wham
but
being nominated.
Andrew's still
only
alive.
George.
George not.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
So he's still Andrew's still cashing those Careless Whispers checks, dude.
Well, he
Jitterbug.
Yeah, the Jitterbug and Careless Whispers.
Wake Me Up Before You Go.
Wait,
Yeah,
yeah, that was
it
a
was
big
those-
hit.
it was
a
those
big
two.
one.
That was
Wake Me
it.
Up
And
Before
it
You
had
Go.
the jitterbug at the beginning, but that's not the name of the song.
No, but then Careless Whispers was on that album also.
Correct. That was the biggest song on that album.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
that dude's still cashing them checks.
Yeah.
Good for you,
Okay.
Andrew.
Last one we'll talk about is Sheryl Crow.
Yeah, she deserves to be there.
Yeah, I think she should go in. I think
Um,
Rage should get in though. They're a cool band.
Cheryl's now, if you don't know this, Cheryl was huge with Michael Jackson at one time. She was on tour with him. She was she actually did a lot of the stage show with him. The Girl Is Mine, she used to come up on stage and sing with him there. Also Dirty Diana, she would come up and dance with him when she was on stage. And when you see Sheryl Crow and Michael Jackson on stage together, it's hard to believe that that's actually Sheryl Crow with the 80s and 90s hairdo. But she got started as one of his backup singers.
Wow, that's
Pretty
crazy.
cool. I did not know that because
Yeah.
her that Sunset Boulevard. What was the song called? Was it called Sunset Boulevard? Whatever it was called.
All I want to do.
Is have some fun.
Yeah, that song. Yeah.
Santa Monica.
Santa Monica
Boulevard.
Boulevard was the name of the song. Yeah.
But she was already late 30s when that came out.
Yeah, she was a math teacher. Before that was her goal, was to be a teacher. But
That's why Rich does those top 10 shows. He knows all
this is great.
Yeah.
This is bits of info. I like it.
I think my favorite part of my first favorite song from Sheryl Crow is "Leaving Las Vegas." That's a great song.
That is a great song.
And it's not just the song, but it's the video, because there's a lot of
Yeah,
shots
that was a
of-
great video.
A lot of
too.
shots of her lips, and that's where the trademark Sheryl Crow lips came from. So It's
that's strong enough to be my man is a good song too, though, man. You can't put it past her on that one.
There's a great documentary of Sheryl Crow online, or not online. I think it's either Netflix or Prime. It's a great documentary, and it explains everything about her life, and with Michael and everything. And it's actually pretty insane.
wow.
If you're into music, that's something you should watch.
All right, I will watch it.
So we're saying all of these are deserving. Just
So
about.
far, even the
Just
Werewolf
about,
of London guy I like.
They're all very
Soundgarden.
iconic. Well, they're all
Soundgarden,
iconic
I mean,
artists.
Soundgarden,
Yeah, what are
great.
you gonna say about Soundgarden? You know what I mean?
Great
Like,
band,
what are you, a
too.
jerk?
What do you Soundgarden? They're at that crossroads between the alternative rock and the mainstream rock, where they both collide with each other.
Phenomenal.
And that's
They got to
that's
go
right near
before the
now.
White Stripes. They
Yeah,
have
that's
to go
right
before
before-
the White Stripes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The White Stripes. I've never been a
White
huge
Stripes
fan
are
of the
great,
White
though.
Stripes. They've got that Ramones sound almost.
I feel like they have a whiny Ramon sound with bluegrass in it. Personally,
Well, I guess you're right. They're gonna have that sound. I think it almost like the Clash. I think
after
the Clash,
Seven Nation
the
Army, they don't
Ramones-
have a song, Adley. I'm sorry, I'm not
It's a
going with the
lot.
White Stripes
Yeah,
on this.
okay.
I'm
They
not
can
mad at them, but that's their only hit, dude. And we're talking about other bands that it's just like, well, think about this. Out of every band you named, literally the White Stripes would be the last one I'd want to hang out with. If I got to hang out with any of those people, even the Werewolf of London guy, it's like, bro, I don't know nothing about you except you wrote that song. And I really
got to
like
hang
that
out with some
job
cool
you're
artists.
talking.
I've got to hang out with some cool artists, but
Cyndi Lauper?
Yeah, dude, I love Cyndi Lauper.
Look, I love Cyndi Lauper before she got all political and crap and started saying stupid stuff.
That's what artists do. Yeah.
And the problem is it takes away from what they're doing. It takes away from what I
don't let
appreciate
that
about
bother
them.
me, man. I don't pay attention to it. She sounds like a songbird to me.
Unfortunately,
where I
it
draw the
doesn't
line
work.
is
It
what's
does.
that?
Their personality it has an effect on me. Like I don't play Taylor Swift music on my show at all. I never feature Taylor ever.
Cyndi Lauper sounds like a songbird, man. I
feature Cyndi Lauper. I've used her stuff on my show all the time. I just never go into detail about her. And granted, I know a lot of stuff about Cyndi Lauper.
What about R. Kelly? Would you play him again?
Oh no, we don't play any R. Kelly stuff ever.
Never.
And I make
again.
sure no. And it's funny because the guy that engineers Cool FM put in an R. Kelly song, Ignition, and I'm driving and I hear the song. I hear the song and what the hell is this? And I called Todd. I went, Todd, why are we playing an R. Kelly song? He goes, what? And I went, call Brett and tell him to take that crap off. And 15 minutes, he says, I'm sorry, we got the song off. I said, don't play R. Kelly. We made a decision not to play R. Kelly ever again.
Yeah.
R. Kelly's a monster.
He is. But do you listen to R. Kelly when no one else is around?
Hell no. I've never been an R. Kelly fan.
Yeah, but what about Michael Jackson?
Yeah, well, see,
some awful stuff too.
But did he go to prison for it?
I don't know, dude.
Maybe
he should have.
right.
Yeah,
Did you see? But did they ever convict him of it?
I don't. Yeah, listen. I'm not trying to get into people's transgressions or personal lives.
Look,
however,
the problem is,
R.
Kelly had a house full of women that were in chains, literally.
I hear your side of the argument, Rich. But have you heard this song called "Home Alone" with Keith Murray and R. Kelly? It's like musical cocaine, dude. You can't stop listening to this song when you put this song on.
We all know that R. Kelly's a great songwriter. We know that because he's written songs for a lot of people. With that being said, he's still a freaking monster.
I know.
Literally,
I recognize
the guy
that.
is a monster. I mean, there's videos of him being a monster.
Listen, I'm not disagreeing with everything either of you are saying about this monster R. Kelly. However,
did we literally pray before the show?
Hey, you guys, hang tight. I need a minute.
Uh-oh. I know what that means.
I'll be right back.
That means I do. We did pray before the show. Here's the problem. Keith Murray makes every song better. Okay.
Who Keith Murray is.
All right, hold on. So let's now establish what allows you or doesn't allow you access to Rich's personal music collection. What if they shot somebody?
It's got to be something that is just completely off the charts horrid.
Yeah, no, that was off the charts horrid. He is a bad person.
So I mean, look, you don't get called the king of pop for one reason. Now I know Michael is a creepy dude, but he was found innocent. Now I understand that people are still guilty of being innocent. Now, if something comes up, if they find some videos or pictures of him doing
what about that
stuff,
HBO thing, man? Didn't you see that HBO movie? I didn't see it because
I didn't
Dave
know that they had
Chappelle
an
said don't
HBO
watch
thing.
it.
I
You
didn't have
never
an
heard of this thing?
No.
Like Finding Neverland, I think it was called.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Holy cow! It came out like a year and a half ago. It
Oh.
came out like at Tiger King time, and
No, I haven't seen
everybody
it.
watched it. Do you
I
not
haven't
watch?
seen it.
Do you not watch Dave Chappelle comedy?
No, not really.
Really, bro? That amazes me. So Chappelle does this like big bit on it where he's like, "Have y'all seen this Finding Neverland? It's gross." So I'm like, well, Chappelle says I shouldn't watch it. I'm not going to watch it because I don't want to be grossed out by it. But here's my point. Do you think that parents, if a parent knows that this guy, he could be, possibly demented for children, do you think they were in it for a payday?
It's a possibility that they were, Michael, of course, being of an affluent family, and the guy's a cash cow. I mean, even LaToya sold him out, and then came back and took it back, saying that it didn't happen. So
what did LaToya say?
She just claimed that he was a crazy dude. He was weird, and then a few years later said that wasn't true. That she was just mad.
All right, what about the pedophilia, though, Rich? You don't believe in the pedophilia?
Like I said, that they haven't proved anything.
You're saying no.
Look, there is a possibility that he's got some creep factor to him, and maybe yes, there are some weird things that are in videos that he's done, music videos.
I respect your opinions, Rich Donovan, and I'm not trying to sway you on this Michael Jackson conversation. However, my last question for you is: do you believe those are his children?
Well, you're talking about what is it?
The white
Paris,
children, the white children that don't look like they have a black father.
From his white surrogate mother. Their white surrogate mother.
Rich, they don't look any part African American whatsoever.
Well, that's a possibility, yes. And
it's a very far out, like way outside.
Well, have you seen?
It's a very dominant gene.
Have you seen Blanket though? Have you seen his face?
I don't know which one is Blanket. There's
Blanket's
a child named Blanket.
Blanket's the middle child.
His name's Blanket. Yeah, that's right.
Did you know that, Adley?
I knew it was. He came up in the news like a year ago. I can't remember what about, but I remember seeing his
like
face.
22 or 23.
Why are you being so quiet? Are you going to pretend like you believe those are his children as well?
Look, anything is possible. I mean, come on. Don't get me wrong. I think Paris is cute, but I never thought she looked a lot like him. But she does have a unique facial structure when you look at Paris, and
those people get their faces all chopped up over there in Hollywood, bro. Like that's not their real face. Adley, back me up on this, dude.
Panama says adopted.
Of course, Panama says
it's a possibility. So, Rich, I mean,
this everybody on this show is mixed, and everybody on this show looks like what they're mixed with. All of us do.
What do you think I'm mixed with?
You're half Mexican.
Really? You think that?
I don't think that. I know that.
How do you know?
Because your dad was white. You're like Adley. You had a white dad and a Mexican mom.
My dad's French.
French?
Well, it's Caucasian. That's neither here nor there.
My dad's Mexican. I was born in Scotland.
Oh, wow.
So. Interesting. Okay.
Your dad's Mexican. Your mother's Caucasian.
No, have you been drinking?
No. But I have been puffing on this. What is it? Flying Monkey, folks. Flying Monkey. I got 2 grams for you guys. $42 at Tiny Box Vape Shop. Come on down. I'm telling you, folks.
This is send me some free shoes.
This is the best. The best value in Delta 8 THC is the Flying Monkey. I've been puffing on this whole episode. I didn't even know Rich Donovan was on here. All right, come on, man.
It's all right.
That's a broken lightsaber.
Taking a crazy turd.
Wait, what were we talking about?
Well, the nominees, but I'm moving to the next story.
Let's do it. Wait, Michael Jackson's kids, Adelaide, back me up on this.
All right, we
Don't
can
leave
just
me
forget
out to dry.
It could be
It's
questionable.
questionable.
I can
Yes,
do that.
it's still up in the air.
You are so full of it. It's not questionable. Rich, I know you believe it's questionable. I know you firmly believe that. He's doing this just to get to me.
I gotta take a serious look into it.
You're getting to yourself, man.
No, I'm telling you, he does this. I've known this man for 30 years or however long we've known each other. He knows what drives me nuts, and then he pretends, I don't know.
I'll be honest, it's getting late for me.
All right, come on. Let's get this last story and then wrap Rich
And poor
up.
Rich Donovan, I was
Yeah,
like,
no.
we said like, gotta be about an hour and a half.
let's last story. Come on, quick. Rich Donovan did it
well,
to
then if
himself.
we're doing
Keeps
last
telling us these
story-
wonderful stories.
Well, if we're doing last story, I gotta go with the Instagram model.
What? I didn't even know that was an
The
option.
exploding boob.
Yes.
Oh.
If you saw her face, you'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen her around. Now she's a Canadian model. She's addicted to extreme plastic surgery.
Whatever.
Has been left looking like an alien after one of her 10-kilogram breast implants exploded.
Oh man.
Her name's Mary Magdalene. She's 30.
You know
She
what?
spent more than
Why does she call herself Mary Magdalene?
Oh,
Because
that
she
I know.
wants to be saint-like. I don't know.
Oh geez. But
Does
she
she know
spent
that-
more than $100,000 on
What a
surgery.
moron.
And has almost died on the
You-
operating table several times.
It sounds like this is a woe is me story. Like she's trying to play a victim, and she's the one that's doing it to herself.
But Rich, you were just telling us how much you love Michael Jackson, and he did a lot of that crap to himself.
Yeah, but we're not talking about his boobs exploding.
I felt like his nose fell off at one point. Though.
I think his nose did fall off. I think.
Now
And
is a 5,000 cc implant, is that big?
I have no idea, dude.
I don't know.
I'm looking at pictures of her,
I've
and
never
they're
had-
the size of basketballs.
Okay, then that
Whoa.
answers your question right there. Right?
If the popped one, you can see the popped one is just regular size, and then the other one is it's insane looking.
Well, since they're just saline, that must have just been like a waterfall.
That's horrible. That'd be so horrible. Something pops inside of you that big.
Oh my gosh! So people are saying that maybe she overfilled it using an expander.
Wait, you can fill them yourselves? Like, what? How does this work nowadays?
Well, I guess your tire goes
Oh,
low. They
expanders are
have
a
a
feature.
plug in the side or something.
Yeah, that's a feature that allows the patient to top them up themselves with a needle, and there's a port.
What a joke.
My breast implant and popped again, she said. I'm scheduled to have surgery to take them both out next week.
I'm sorry. I'm all about the natural look. Okay, you can keep the plastique to yourself.
I don't know, bro. I feel like there was a lot of plastique at that spot where your old girl used to work at. What was the name of that joint? Lipsticks or whatever. What was the name of that
Candy
joint?
store?
Candy store. I feel like there's a lot of plastique over there, Rich.
Yeah, my wife didn't have anything done. She was natural.
Well, God bless her.
And
so
the
in
girls.
the meantime,
What?
in the meantime, the OnlyFans star, she's on OnlyFans, not a shocker, I know, but she was enjoying her uniboob era and even compared herself to an alien. Your body is literally telling you to stop, one concerned follower said, while another one said, please remove. You'll be in a lot less pain.
Yeah, just a deflated inner tube.
Nature gives you what it gives you. That's how life works. And like you can eat better food, and you can exercise a little more, and you can try not to stress. But other than that, all this stuff that everybody's doing to themselves, that's not going to turn out good for you.
Do you really need 38J breast size?
Well, she did.
38J.
But it's not natural. You know what I mean?
Very unnatural.
Yeah.
It looks weird. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
People are mutilating their bodies thinking that they're something else.
Do you guys want to guess how many Instagram followers she has?
You
They're
always
all-
hate.
they're all
Yeah,
a
this
bunch of
always
s-
makes you mad.
They're all a bunch of idiots.
200,000.
Only 136,000.
See, I was close.
That
200,000.
doesn't sound like a lot, actually. Yeah. So
You can make
I
a
would-
decent living on 130,000 Instagram fans, dude.
That's a lot of but she does a lot. Yeah, look her up after this because oh my gosh, Mary Magdalene.
I will pass. I will pass.
Yeah, it's a trip. You're like, wow.
All right, well, folks,
Wow.
we're gonna wrap it up. We went way over time. Rich, dude, thank you so much for coming on the show. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, thanks, man.
I appreciate the storytelling time.
Man, I had a really good time. All right, well, hang out in the green room for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll let you go. All right, guys. Follow
Thanks,
us
everybody.
on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, blah blah blah, and follow at Rich Donovan as well. Blah 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 blah. All right, see you guys later. Oh wait, Rich, plug your radio show real quick. Sorry.
Forgotten Hits of Yesterday is Monday through Friday, actually 7 days a week from noon to 3 p.m. at Cool
Is it
FM.
cool with a
Cool
C or a
FM
K?
It's with a C. All
With a
one
C.
word. CoolFMonline.com. All one word.
CoolFMonline.com. All right, thanks, Rich.